are listening to Voice of the Fans Sportscast, brought to you by none other than the voices of the fans.
Oh, Canada.
For Friday, the 3rd of July, I'm Randy Cooray. This is a Voice of the Fans Canada. Hope you're doing well, and thank you so much for joining us. As a proud Canadian, I don't know if there is a week like we are experiencing right now in the world of sports. Within Canada, within Toronto, within the world, you have the World Cup of Soccer going on. You have NHL, NBA free agency. A lot of big things happening with the Maple Leafs and the Raptors. Here to help me figure out what the hell is going on, Tony Antoniou is here. Tony, how's it going?
Good times. It's good times, isn't it, Randy? It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. Well, you know what? Here's the thing. You're into sports. So this is a good time to be into sports.
It's an amazing time to be into sports. I mean,
yeah,
throughout the regular calendar year, I don't know about you, but I like to think April, middle of April, Major League Baseball starting, NHL and NBA playoffs are starting, the Masters are starting. I'm a big golf fan.
Okay.
This pales in comparison to what's going on. And I guess the World Cup is the main reason why. Is it the main reason why? I mean, you take a look, and Neel Katarey is actually going to join us around 9 o'clock, and he'll help us out with the basketball news. But, I mean, with everything going on, I mean, I think what is lost in the weeds here is that the Toronto Maple Leafs picked first overall and got Gavin McKenna, because you think about Kawhi Leonard to a degree, you think about Mike Babcock, you think about the possibility of where LeBron James will be playing next. The Boston Celtics make a major trade, and Philadelphia 76ers are getting that much more crazier. The Leafs head coach that has changed hands, and
I hope Neil's got plenty of rest and ready to fire off all his opinions on what's happened in the NBA. It's been a lot of fun.
It has been.
2-1 Argentina, by the way. They just scored.
And Argentina was tied against Cabo Verde. All these Cinderella teams, you think about who had scored the first goal in their country's history. You think about Canada scoring their first goal on home soil, which is, I guess, few and far between for most countries. But, gone are the days of our men's national program just known for scoring one goal in World Cup play, men's World Cup play. And not only do they have a point, Tony, but they're in the round of 16.
Round of 16, that's right. And
wow.
Winning in the epic fashion, and they did too, the way they did too. But I gotta say, I was probably one of the most skeptical people about it working out here in Toronto. And I guess it's because we were sitting at BMO leading up to the World Cup during TFC games and watching the construction happening. And I don't know about you, but I think the overwhelming opinion was that I don't know. This doesn't. This looks like there might be trouble. I mean, we were joking around, looking at the temporary seating, saying, "That doesn't look. It doesn't look very stable." But everything, all the feedback that has taken place since has been nothing but positive. I mean, our eyes don't lie. It seems like it's an incredible an atmosphere. And I think the most poignant point made was by Roberto Martinez, the Portuguese coach, yesterday, comparing it to that mid-table Premier League type intimate stadium setting, which he was very used to as manager of Everton Football Club for a long time. And that's exactly the way I looked at it. The more I was watching it, the more aesthetically beautiful it looked. And then, being lucky enough to have Portugal and Croatia, a couple of communities that are very highly represented in Toronto, helps, as well as Bosnia-Herzegovina as well. They had a lot of fan base. But overall, the atmosphere and was it Panama's coach? Yeah. Panama's coach was very complimentary of the whole atmosphere, the treatment they had, the logistics, getting them to and from the hotel. So it was a huge success. I hope FIFA feels like shit for not putting more games in Toronto, with the benefit of hindsight, because a lot of people had a lot of good things to say about the atmosphere here.
I mean, and I guess it's really easy to come down on FIFA for only having what is it, six matches here in Toronto, 7 in Vancouver.
Yeah.
And
what I'm saying it half jokingly.
No, of course, but and not solely on what you said, but with Toronto FC Stadium being what it is and soccer being what it is, of course it's growing, and there is more of an infrastructure in this country. Well, I guess financially, Qatar has a lot more than Canada, but in terms of passion for the game, it's definitely on the rise. But we don't have the stadiums in this country. I think the closest one and the only one really and truly is Vancouver on an international scale, only because of the size of the stadium, not so much the aesthetics and the amenities to BC Place, although I'm sure that they pumped in a lot of money as well. But looking at all the matches at Toronto Stadium, it doesn't look like BMO Field. And of course, a little bit of paint and some signage and wrapping along the stands can do a lot of great things. But it does, to your point, look like a first-class facility. Kudos to Toronto. We really never really what kind of event comes close to a World Cup in our city? We haven't had the Olympics here. The Pan Am Games came and went.
Yeah, the Olympics in Vancouver is obviously the comparable.
Sure.
I don't know if we're ever going to see the one country host again. Maybe not again. It might be like, I'm sure England and Germany, if they get the games again. But I think you'll see more of this. I think you'll see co-hosts, because it just makes more sense financially, and it's an opportunity for FIFA to add more teams into the tournament too, which is probably ultimately what they want. But I think this might be
you think more
the
teams?
way to go.
I mean, you think more teams are gonna
the 48. No,
okay.
I don't think so. But I'm assuming the next World Cup will have 48 teams as well. Seeing that 3 countries are taking part in the hosting, and I just think it's the way to go for FIFA. I think they're looking at it as, maybe an opportunity where, unlike Qatar or Brazil or Russia, where they pump hundreds and millions and billions of dollars into retrofitting and adding, new stadiums, different stadiums, they probably don't have to worry about that when you have 3 hosts, where you probably have, a lot of functional stadiums in place where you don't have to worry about that money being spent for, outlandish, like Qatar, right? Something similar to that. So we'll see how it goes.
I'm kind of wondering, and I'm guessing that you wouldn't know the answer to this question, but I would have thought Brazil already had the infrastructure, but they had built more stadiums. And I think FIFA, let alone the IOC, really do this to themselves, where they force these host cities to really trick out these venues only to be used for a couple of weeks or a month. I mean, you being Cypriot, you probably have a real understanding of what happened with Greece when they hosted the 2004 Olympics. Greece went into the tank financially. Well, now, whether the Olympics was a main cause for that, I don't know. But, they built so many stadiums and facilities only never to be used again. And now that's why you're seeing so little cities watch, host and want to host, especially the Summer Olympics. And I mean, it does make sense financially to spread the wealth and have multiple cities and countries host something like the World Cup. But I mean, I do think that FIFA and the IOC do this to themselves, don't you think?
Well, there's always the option to not put a bid in the host. I mean, it's totally up to the countries, right? FIFA can't control that, but they have certain standards that they expect, and I get it, right? Because it's not just about retrofitting stadiums. There's different aspects, in the bowels of the ship, as they say, that you've got to, you got to be ready security wise. You got to have areas outside the stadium, one of the parents on my stepdaughter's soccer team, who's a police officer here in Toronto, was assigned to a couple of games, and they can't be in the stadium. They've got to be at a certain distance. So FIFA's got to be able to organize their own security in certain areas, and I'm sure they will. There was a lot of work that had to be done for BMO, just in the bowels of the ship alone, right? Getting players into the stadium, because it's very open. It's very, the parking lot is across the way, and you could see players parking and coming in. So I love the dugouts, though. They put some dugouts, I notice, and I think they're staying. So those are cool. But listen, at the end of the day, it's up to the countries. If they choose the bid, and they know what comes with it, which is why, getting back to the co-hosting thing, I think we'll see a lot more of that.
Yeah. I mean, for two guys in their mid to late 40s, what do you think the chances that we'll be alive to see Canada host the World Cup matches again? I mean, the
way we drink, not possible.
True. No, yeah,
not possible.
What, you're right. You're right.
It'd be tough. Be tough.
But well, let's take a look here. Now, Mexico hosted in 86, USA 94. It's 26 now.
Italy 1990.
Italy 1990 and
France.
So we'll see. So I guess it just in terms of because I think isn't it Spain, Morocco, and Portugal hosting the next World Cup?
Correct.
Yeah. So maybe every 30 years, and in 2060s. So I mean, I'll be well over 80, and there's no way I'm seeing 80. So we got another. Did we see a goal?
I think so. I'm delayed. I am super delayed upstairs, and I can hear my stepson and her mother cheering. Oh, what a goal!
Oh, my goodness. Cabo Verde has equalized against Argentina.
This isn't real.
How is this?
This is not real. Wow.
I just caught it out of the back of my eye. So right now, as I'm seeing, it's in the 104th minute. I don't know where you are, but now
oh my God. And it was
the goal scorer is
a world-class finish.
Yeah.
World-class finish. Yeah. Wow.
This is unbelievable. Now, is there a yellow card possibility for players going into the stands?
There might be. Yeah, there might be. It's a little bit of a delay. Is that Serena Williams' mom that's standing there?
I didn't catch that. But unbelievable. Cabo Verde has tied Argentina. So,
Wow.
yeah,
Okay.
the first half of extra time is just about to be complete, and Argentina did go up, but Cabo Verde has now tied it. They're showing the replay on my end. I didn't really get a good look at it, but yeah, fed in through. I saw that the shot was taken on the, I guess that would be the right side of the box,
Top of
and
the yeah,
yeah,
top of
wow,
the corner of the 18-yard there. Just a
top.
phenomenal finish.
Wow. If there was a Gatorade bottle, I mean, that Gatorade
Yeah,
bottle on the
exactly.
top of the net,
Corner.
that would have
Whew.
been popped off. What a
So
goal.
here's what I know. I'm extremely delayed because I can hear my fiance and her son downstairs cheering a good 30 seconds before the goal went in.
Oh,
So
and you're here talking to me. I mean, you definitely drew the short stick.
it's
But
my pleasure.
yeah. Ah,
Moving on.
you
Next
are
topic.
next topic. Okay. So the fans are seeing a great game in person, but how about those fans in Toronto who got to see Portugal, Croatia? I mean, uh, the draw shaped out to be what it was. We didn't know who was going to be playing Toronto's final match, and it turned out to be Ronaldo and Modric. And Tony, if money wasn't an object, well, I mean, let's put it to you this. Let's put it this way. Is there any way to compare last night's match to any event, sporting or non-sporting, that took place in this city? Maybe World Youth Day in the early 2000s, because that was such an international moment. Pope John Paul II came, and even non-practicing Catholics were very overwhelmed. A million people was at Downsview. I was one of them, along with my family.
Mm-hmm.
We've had World Series, we've had NBA championships, but I think Portugal, Croatia might very well top it.
Well, here's the thing. It's not everybody in the city has, Portuguese pride. Not everybody in the city is of Croatian descent. So
Do they have to?
does it? Well,
I don't think so.
from a memorable standpoint, if you're a citizen of Toronto, I think you're going to remember, the World Series parades. You're going to remember the NBA championship. I think you'll remember that a heck of a lot more. However, in terms of spectacle event in the city, absolutely not. There's nothing that'll touch a World Cup. I don't even think the Olympics would do anything, right? I mean, it is the pinnacle of sporting event in the world, bar none. Nothing is bigger. Nothing is watched all over the world more than this. And again, I say that ahead of the Olympics as well. So from that aspect, yes. From that aspect, 100%. But if you're looking at it from a regular, everyday Torontonian, do they really care about soccer? If they had their druthers, would they prefer watching a Jays game? Maybe. Who knows? I mean, we're looking at it from our perspective, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure if everybody feels that way.
I think those naysayers that you're talking about, though, have to admit that you're talking about Cristiano Ronaldo. I heard he had like 470 million Instagram followers. I mean, CR7, he is so much more revered globally than Vladimir Guerrero Jr.
Randy, I left work today. Sorry to interrupt. I left work today. I work at the corner of the Queensway there, and at the hospital. Was about to get on the highway. Was about to get on the Gardner. It was completely blocked. There was police blocking every entrance to the Gardner from Lakeshore. Moving further, I think Kipling as well. And I knew exactly what it was for right away. Right away. It was for the Portuguese bus. They were heading to their training session out here in Centennial Park, which is about 20 minutes away from me. They were heading out, and they shut down the highway, the Gardner and the 427 for them to get through properly without a hitch. So there's no question that this is bigger. There's no question that CR7 is a bigger deal than than Vladdy. That goes without saying. I mean,
Right.
the most
Sure.
popular athlete in North America doesn't compare to the popularity of a Messi or Ronaldo or even a Modric all over the world. Tom Brady? Who the fuck is Tom Brady?
And that's so valid. That's so valid.
I am serious. So yeah, no, I get it. But yeah, that was my experience today, and it was like I was more than happy to be stuck in traffic for this because I was like, wow, is this is a soccer team. This isn't the president of, a country. This is a freaking soccer team. So yeah, to answer your question, there's no question about it.
Yeah. I mean, and did you see all these videos of I just the amount of Portuguese fans just surrounding the hotel? There was one video in particular where some woman was like screaming her eternal love for Ronaldo, and she even commented saying that was me in the video. She's like proud of how hysterical she was in screaming out Ronaldo's, who was like a couple of feet away from her, and the reverence that these people have. My God, like, where was Messi? Was he in Boston or something where he was trying to get out of a restaurant and he had to go from another way because there was that many hundreds of dudes trying to get a glimpse of this guy? I mean, be honest. Do you think that you could hang out for an hour plus at a restaurant because some celebrity or famous person is there at that restaurant? Do you think you could scope out a restaurant like these people can?
Me, never. Never in a million years. I to be honest, I find it pathetic.
So do I.
I just believe like idolizing. When we're all kids, we all have heroes, quote unquote. Mine was Mario Lemieux, but I don't know. The older I could understand a bunch of kids waiting around, but to have full-grown men of my age, of my vintage, to idolize people like that, you can admire them. And you can still say that these guys are holy shit. Like if he walked past me, I'd be like, holy shit. But I'm not the type of guy to say, can I take a picture, or just keep screaming his name like he doesn't know who he is, right? That's not my tactic. No, personally, no. I wouldn't do it. I'm way too busy.
You wouldn't take a picture. You wouldn't take a picture with
honestly, probably. Probably not. Probably not.
Really? I'm surprised.
In a setting like that, it would have to be an extremely spontaneous situation, right? Where you just have, oh, hey, shit. Do you mind if there's nobody around, right? If you get into one of those situations. But I had a chance like that with Sid during the World Cup back in 2016. And if I wasn't working, I would have went for it, just because it wasn't a lot of people around. Like it was the end of the night. He was leaving the arena. It was very quiet, but I was working, and I don't do that while I'm working, especially when I'm on the clock.
That must be tough. Yeah.
Yeah. I would have tried it, but other than that, no, I don't go gaga anymore. I really don't.
Yeah. If in the scenario that you suggested, if there's nobody around, and I had a chance to do that with Will Smith. He was at a golf course in Milton, and I think he was shooting Suicide Squad with Margot Robbie, and I'll get to Margot Robbie in a second. But Will Smith was at the golf course that I was playing at. He finished his round. He was in the washroom, and as I saw him pulling into the clubhouse and to go to the can, I saw him and I was like, oh, snap, that's Will Smith. So then I actually did wait outside the washroom, but it was only for like 2 minutes. And I was like, hey, Will, do you have a second for a picture? And he was like, yeah, sure, let's do this. He was the nicest guy, and he was more than gracious and everything like that. Apparently, a couple of days earlier.
That's because you kept his wife's name out of your fucking mouth.
Yeah, perhaps. Yeah, yeah. What happened at the Oscars certainly wasn't Will's finest moment. But with Margot Robbie, she was at the same golf course, uh, which was Royal Ontario Golf Club, and Margot Robbie was there. And you think of Margot Robbie, this worldwide, beautiful, like one of the most beautiful women in Hollywood and everything like that. And she apparently was so nice, and she was taking pictures and talking it up with everybody, and it was really cool. Like somebody told me that a couple of days earlier. Same thing, I had an experience with Adam Sandler, really nice guy as well. He
That doesn't shock me at all. I could totally see
yeah,
that guy being down to earth.
yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, back to the World Cup here. And I'm seeing Tony, I don't do you know off the top of your head where I could try and take a look at it, where the Paraguay France match is? Because tomorrow is the United States 250th birthday, and Canada is playing Morocco in Houston, and France is playing Paraguay in Philadelphia. This is something that FIFA could have looked into. For USA's 250th birthday, why aren't these matches in Mexico? I mean, let's look at it in a realistic sense. Maybe they should have avoided July 4th in having matches in the United States.
Why? Why?
Who's going to go?
Do you think that?
Who's going to
Everybody.
go? I mean,
they're going to be packed. Everybody's going to go.
The rumor that I heard was that it was 60 or 70% locals who watched Canada, South Africa in Los Angeles.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're banking on locals, sorry, go ahead.
No, I think they committed to buying tickets, and it could be part of their holiday excursion, right? Is to watch a World Cup game. I don't think that's an issue at all. I think if anything, they would have obviously loved to have the schedule fall where the United States is playing on the 4th of July. That would have been cool, but I don't think they care at all. And let's be honest here, man. Like it's like people in Los Angeles. Most of those crazy fucking liberals don't want to celebrate the United States birthday anyway, so who cares? Half the locals in Philadelphia are high on meth anyway, so I'm pretty sure there's more than just locals going to these games. But no, I don't think it's a factor at all. I don't think it's a big deal at all.
Yeah, the United States, they're playing on the 6th, and they are in Seattle against Belgium. And that would have been really cool to see. It's too bad it wouldn't be. The match isn't on Sunday, the 5th. Obviously, Independence Day being when it is. But I guess it's
3-2 Argentina.
I missed the goal. That's a shame. Well, there's 9 minutes left, and we'll see. And there was a handball there too, but it was off the Cabo Verde player. So that's we'll see if Cabo Verde could come back from this, and if they do and can, we're going to see penalties.
Wow.
So
wow.
Scaloni. They're showing a picture of Scaloni there. I don't know if you remember seeing his reaction when Argentina won World Cup. He just stood there amongst himself, just basking in the fact that he won World Cup, and he just started crying and didn't really have any emotion at all. He seems like the real deal. Anyway, how about we go back to Portugal, Croatia for the 3rd time? And what a match. Just the fact that Luka Modric could end his career in Toronto, and Cristiano Ronaldo's first goal in a knockout match at a World Cup happened here in Toronto. Do you think that this is going to open the door for Toronto, maybe in terms of whether they'll consider the Olympics, personally, I hope they won't, but just enhancing the city's profile a little bit more. Uh, to a lot of people, like you were saying about Martinez and uh, everybody who had some really nice things to say about our city. It's another opportunity for Toronto to be put on the map.
You know what? I think we as Torontonians or former Torontonians, I guess I'm not there anymore, but I'm there a lot. We always have this insecurity about what people think about our city. Toronto is a widely respected city for its, diverse situation. You just look at the World Cup, look at the fans. Um, it doesn't need any more of a push than it already gets. There's been a huge sample size that this city is legit. It's world renowned. It's a world class city. There's obviously some things that I would like to see them fix based on my frequent trips down to Union Station. That needs to be cleaned up a little bit. But for the most part, it's a phenomenal city, and I don't think it's make or break. People come here. A lot of people visit. They get it. Personally, I hope they never bid for an Olympics because I think it's a colossal waste of money.
Absolutely.
And they've done a pretty good job landing some amazing events here. So it's just, I don't think they need much more of a push. Maybe what could come out of this is that, with the MLS schedule aligning with Europe starting next year, the year after, maybe Toronto becomes an option. Maybe MLS gets better and certain players see this and say, hey, I can make a couple of $1 million playing in Toronto or being, the fourth option, fifth option off the bench in Lyon or something like that. And, they refer back to what the atmosphere was like here. Maybe that might help. I don't know. I guess, but I don't think Toronto needs much more of a boost than the reputation that it has. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I guess from a soccer's perspective, like, yeah, sure, the state tax is one thing, and you could play in Inter Miami or Orlando, but it gets really unbearable there in July and August. And whatever the new schedule format is like, you know it a hell of a lot better than me. I don't know if there is going to be much. Hey, wow. There, stick to your TV there. That was close. But yeah, sure, it gets really humid there in Toronto during the summer. But yeah, Toronto may be a soccer option, and there are a lot of people in this city who love TFC. You and me especially. How have you taken in the last few weeks? It's just been absolutely incredible, from the World Cup matches to seeing everything free agent frenzy wise in the NHL. You take a look at the big trade regarding the Raptors. Is this just ho hum another week and just a couple of cool things have happened for you, or have you, been paying more attention to your sports Twitter accounts there and so on? Because we have never experienced anything like this past couple of weeks.
Well, I'm always on my phone for sports content, so that part hasn't changed. But there seems to be a lot more punching me in the face when we are scrolling through our phones. That's for sure. It has been, but it's fun, right? It's fun. It's better than seeing negative shit all the time, which we're always prone to as well. But it's been a grind, man. Like you're busy. I got soccer 4 days a week with my daughter, like I said, and you're balancing that. I have the game going on my phone when I'm dropping her off at practice. I'm sitting on a nice little lawn chair during practice, nice weather, watching a game on my phone. It's been a lot of fun. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, it sure has. And well, we have the big match against Morocco. We'll talk about that in a moment. But why don't we talk a little hockey here and break out the Toronto Maple Leafs, Tony? I mean, who'd have thought that they would have the opportunity to pick first overall in the draft? They do pick Gavin McKenna, and the Leafs as of right now have become the most busiest team during free agent frenzy. I am surprised, borderline shocked that Sergei Bobrovsky is now a Toronto Maple Leaf. Beyond that, like, how much better did this team become? Because, of course, they missed the playoffs for the first time in, 9 years? And now they have, albeit a 38-year-old goaltender, but they do have a proven netminder now in Sergei Bobrovsky. You take a look at Radish, you take a look at Sissons, you take a look at Roslovic, Nick Paul. This team has become a lot better.
Well, that remains to be seen because there is a new coach and there are a lot of players who are, supposed to come together and gel in a timely fashion, starting when training camp starts in September. On paper, I like their additions. I like what they've done. Like, like when I text you, when you text me and said, "Oh my God, Bobrovsky," my reply was, "Why not? Why not?" I mean, he's a proven winner. He can bring a calmness to the net. You hope. He is older, yes, but goalies are still very valuable when they get later on in their years. If you've got a good one. Plus, he's reunited with Stolarz, and that was a good combination that won a Stanley Cup in Florida. But overall, you've really bolstered your bottom six. You've like you take a trade, the Nick Robertson trade, for instance. Nick Robertson wasn't working out as a top six forward in Toronto. He certainly wasn't getting a lot of that opportunity. So you put him in a bottom six situation, he's probably not as valuable. So you let him go for a 4th round pick, and you bring in guys who play hard, who grind. I love the Nick Paul acquisition. He's piss and vinegar. And Teddy Bluger is a pure defensive centerman who I knew from the Penguins. Solid player, is going to help you on the penalty kill. He's just defensively minded player. Plays 200-foot game. He's not going to give you a lot of offense, but you have a lot of offense. You have good top six guys in place, plus the first overall pick. It's funny how many times you're going to forget about McKenna being in the picture because that first overall victory came out of nowhere. But listen, I'm not going to brand them, a winner until you see them actually play. Plus, they have a new head coach, like I said. But there's a lot of positive. A lot of positive. The Leaf fans should be positive about the offseason so far. Can't hear you.
Microphone was on mute. Should they have a head coach, though? I wonder what this team would look like if Berube was leading the team. I mean, personally, I don't think he had much of a chance. And I get it, new general manager, they want to bring in their own person. But, I mean, what kind of tools did Craig Berube have? And now, okay, yeah, Jim Hiller had some experience before. But I don't know if they should have pulled the trigger on Berube. What do you think?
I don't mind it. I mean, he certainly did have the tools. I disagree with you there. I mean, he's got a pretty good hockey team. But listen, at the end, of course he did. He had you have a team with Matthews, Tavares, Marner, and Nylander before Marner left. You've got tools. You have tools, but it's not necessarily the coach all the time. I agree with that. I mean, there's no need to rehash, the playoff performances by this core. But it just wasn't working, and that's how it usually works, right? You have the players coach, and then that doesn't work, and then you bring in the more strict guy, excuse me, and that didn't work. So now Jim Hiller comes in. He's apparently a little more player friendly. He's going to be very helpful to the power play. He has a history in this market, and so he's going to understand what it takes. But again, if these players aren't willing to make the sacrifices, do the things that you have to do, especially come playoff time, it doesn't matter who's the coach, right? I mean, it just doesn't. I mean, you've had Mike Babcock, and then you brought in the young up-and-comer in Sheldon Keefe, and then you had the Stanley Cup winner in Craig Berube. You've tried through it all. So, at the end of the day, are the players ready to step up? Who knows? Especially that core, right? It all comes down to that core. You can add all these bottom six guys until the cows come home, but if the core doesn't show up, like we're used to seeing them not show up, then there's a problem.
Well, I mean, I think the core issue is Austin Matthews. I mean, I think that who was on the ice when Matthews got run by Gudas? And I can't remember if you and I talked about this specifically, but I'm certain Nylander was there, Riley was there, Carlo was there on the ice when Gudas took out Matthews. And something just tells me that he is not a leader. And if it was Tavares, for example, I think Gudas would have had his face beaten in. This is just a hunch, though. What do you
By
think?
who, though? By who? Who?
Well, look at Riley when he took out Ridley Gregg. Now is Morgan Riley, showing up Ridley Gregg because it's Ridley Gregg, and he's gonna cower if it was Radko Gudas?
Yeah,
I don't know.
Maybe he knows. Maybe he knows Gudas could feed him. I don't know. I mean, that particular situation has been, beaten to death. That story. Yeah, it's not a good look. It was not a good look. No. Perhaps that's why they got grittier in this bottom six now. It's difficult to expect a William Nylander to be that type of player, but once in a while you'd like to see it happen, right?
Yeah, they've never had it amongst that core four.
Sure, I get it.
Who is the toughest between those guys?
I don't know. Good question.
Yeah, maybe Riley. I mean, I put Riley in that core, but that's not really saying much. But with all these signings, though, and you have Gavin McKenna, how much do you think this is going to convince Austin Matthews to stay in Toronto? It's amazing that John Chaika has come in with whatever sideshow was going on in Arizona. Brad Treliving, I mean, I thought that he was quite accomplished in Calgary. I thought he did some decent stuff there. But I don't see any chance that Brad Treliving could pulled off the moves that John Chaika did. Having said that, there is a big possibility that Austin Matthews isn't going to return once his contract is up. Is he thinking about asking for a trade like all these other players did? And we must get into what happened in Ottawa in a moment. But Austin Matthews, do you think his decision may change if he was thinking about leaving Toronto to after all these signings that the Leafs have done recently?
I believe he's going to extend, and I believed his plan was to extend before these moves were made. I don't think Nick Paul, Jack Roslovic, Colton Sissons is going to move the needle for him to say, yeah. I get the sense that he wants to stick around and try and make it work. That's just me. And I also think from a monetary perspective, and I say this all the time, for maximum, for his brand, for maximum opportunity at maximizing your income, being captain of the Toronto Maple Leafs and potentially being the captain who lifts the Stanley Cup for the first time in 800 years is a very lucrative opportunity for him as well.
Do you really
belief,
think so? Do you really think so?
Course. Off the ice, 100%. 100%. Where else? Utah? You think the Utah or Salt Lake City or even Florida, he'd be a nobody there, but he's the king here. He would be the king here. Fuck Vladdy, fuck Kawhi, no, seriously, fuck Scotty Barnes. At the end of the day, if they accomplish that and he's the guy lifting the cup, he's a king forever, for life. Long live Austin Matthews.
Sure, but I think it's safe to say that Mark Messier is a king in New York. I think Jonathan Taves, he's king-ish in Chicago.
He was in '94 for that 1 year. He'll always be revered by
Henrik
by the New York Ranger fan base. There's no question about it. Sure, but it does not compare to a nation. It's not just in Toronto. It's a nationwide love. There's Toronto Maple Leaf fans all over the country, and it would make a massive difference. Huge difference.
Okay. So Austin Matthews wins the cup in Toronto. What kind of reverence is he going to get in Winnipeg?
From Torontonians and Toronto Maple Leaf fans, like transplanted, and Toronto Maple Leaf fans in Winnipeg? He's going to be a more national face. Mark Messier is not a national face in the States because he won the cup with the New York Rangers. It's not like, if the Yankees won the World Series, I promise you, Aaron Judge would be, he'd carry a lot more weight across the country for sure because, he's not a hockey player. But there's no question about it. I don't even know why we're having this discussion. It's a no-brainer.
I'm not disputing the fact that they are going to be financially compensated and revered in Canada when they win the Stanley Cup. I mean, how revered is Guy Carbonneau revered? Like, is Al McInnes revered? I mean, these are guys who like Gen Z would have to look up who Al McInnes is. They'd have to look up, a lot of them would have to look up who Lanny McDonald is and Joe Nieuwendyk. But I mean, getting back to today, what I was wondering is like, in a hockey sense, Rod Brind'Amour, I think, is quite revered in Canada. I think if Rod Brind'Amour goes to a Boston Pizza in Red Deer, people are going to say, "Oh, snap! There's Rod Brind'Amour. Food's, his dinner's on the house." I mean, I think people are going to think the same way about Paul Maurice. And I guess what I'm getting at is, like, let's say Mitch Marner wins a couple of cups in Vegas. Toronto fans might be a little salty. I think he'll still get a free meal. Maybe not every single time, but I'm sure that he might. Yeah, I think that's what my point is. It's that, of course, there is no national scope in the United States when it comes to hockey. But within hockey, and if you're a good old Canadian boy, Sidney Crosby, Nathan McKinnon, they're revered. How much more revered would they be if they were in Canada? If Sidney Crosby won Stanley Cups for a Canadian team, how much revered would he be as opposed to being a Penguin? Do you think the needle moves that much? I don't know.
It does, because you're bringing a Stanley Cup to a Canadian team. So that right there is it's a huge deal. And I'm sure there's more opportunities for him off the ice playing in Canada than there is for him playing in Pittsburgh. Now, mind you, he is, a national star. Like, he's won gold medals for Canada and the golden goal. So that's kind of a different situation. My point is, that will supersede anything in this city that ever happens if Austin Matthews can lift the Stanley Cup as captain of the Toronto Maple Leafs. That's all I'm saying. It's not even going to compare. There's nothing anybody else accomplishes from a Toronto sports perspective will trump that for a very, very long time.
Neil
Neel,
Katarey,
how are you?
Neel Katarey is here. Neel, happy Friday, my friend. How are you?
Happy Friday, boys. I came in and heard some lively chatter. And I listening in for a minute there.
You thought you'd jump into the basketball right away, but unfortunately, we've been milking this.
Well, I'm just glad I didn't miss your thoughts on the Kawhi Leonard deal, so we'll get to that.
Yeah, we're definitely going to get to Kawhi Leonard. Absolutely. And,
I think you know based on the like you did on that Instagram post.
I got an idea.
Well, did I miss an Instagram post?
Well, we'll get to it. I don't.
Okay, we'll get to it. Yeah. But Neel, Tony and I were going back and forth about how much more revered a hockey player would be by winning a cup in Canada versus the United States. And my apologies for putting you on the spot like this, but the coach of the Carolina Hurricanes is Rod Brind'Amour, and within hockey circles, Rod Brind'Amour is quite revered in Canada, good old Canadian boy. And Tony and I were going back and forth, and I was debating how much more revered Sidney Crosby would be if he won a cup, if he won those 3 cups on a Canadian team. I don't think that it would be that much of a difference, because Sidney Crosby and Nathan MacKinnon, Steven Stamkos, if they walked into any restaurant or sports bar in this country, people are going to stop and notice and take a picture. And I don't know if coast to coast to coast, if Austin Matthews won a cup with the Toronto Maple Leafs, if he would be as heralded, because it's the Toronto Maple Leafs. I mean, out of all that garble that I gave you, can you sort of put a couple thoughts together?
I came in, and the first words I heard were Austin Matthews would be a king in Toronto, Tony was saying. And then I kind of got the gist about what the question even was. But I completely agree with that. I mean, it doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter if you're Pavel Bure for the Canucks when they went against the Rangers. Doesn't matter if you're Fedorov with the Red Wings. Whoever you are, whatever country you're from, Ovi with the Capitals, you win a Stanley Cup for your team. And especially, now I'm talking about, if Austin Matthews was to win a cup for the Leafs, it's akin to what Jalen Brunson did for the Knicks, basically, in hockey terms. It's essentially that, a gigantic, long, 50-plus year kind of drought. And you're the guy that came in. If Shea Gilgeous-Alexander did that in New York, guess what? Shea would be seen just the same as Brunson. So I think the argument also translates to hockey. But again, Austin Matthews, no one would care, in my opinion, about it in Winnipeg or Montreal. No. Does Toronto care that Patrick Waugh won for the Canadians in '93? I don't know that people really do, but Patrick Waugh is still a Canadian icon because of what he's done for Team Canada and just being a great Canadian. And so is, like you bring up Crosby and those guys, same thing. Crosby will always be a national icon because of 2010. And, you can never take that away from him. And from a Canada perspective, it's always going to be Team Canada in the Olympics above everything. And then from a local market, doesn't matter where you're from, you end a drought, you win a ring, you're revered regardless.
Yeah.
I wasn't saying that people in Edmonton or Winnipeg would revere it or care it but there are a lot of transplanted Torontonians all over the place. I mean, you watch games at Rogers Place on a Saturday night, and half of it is blue and white. So there would be a give a fuck level. I think it would be I think if the first team to break the drought, the Canadian drought, is the Toronto Maple Leafs, it will be despised in a lot of areas, but I think it'll be a bigger deal because it's the Toronto Maple Leafs. Biggest market in the country, probably the most fans spread out throughout the country. Montreal might have something to say about that for sure. Yeah. But there's no question. But I'm not saying, obviously in Toronto it'll take a different tone, a different level. But I think we're at the point now in Canada where we just want to see a Canadian team win the Stanley Cup, right?
Yeah, my impression is the Leafs kind of have a more diffuse fan base in Canada, maybe in the States a little bit, among Canadian teams anyways, kind of like the Lakers and Knicks. I keep comparing it to basketball, but like if you're a Lakers fan in San Antonio or in New York or in whatever other country outside of LA, the other people, the fans of that team in that city, don't really like you. They don't really like that they're seeing you as a Lakers fan cheering, and whether you live in the city or not, people don't like that. So I don't know that you could become, but yeah, like Tony said, there's fans are more spread out with the Leafs. It's more of a marquee franchise than anywhere else in Canada, to be honest. And that's just the way it is. And so, it's kind of similar to those mega markets as far as the sport is concerned.
Yeah,
Cowboys is another example.
Sure. Yeah, Cowboys, absolutely. And I guess there is a bit of an insensitivity with hockey, and it's been so long since Canadian team has won the Stanley Cup, and it's just so unique and so wild that you could be an NHL legend and live in a city where not a lot of people would recognize you. I mean, Mitch Marner can walk down the Vegas Strip, Jack Eichel, and not get noticed. But in hockey circles, he would be the king of the castle, especially if Vegas wins the cup. I mean, look at South Beach. I mean, Matthew Tkachuk, and every hockey fan in this country know about the Tkachuk boys.
Yeah.
And maybe we should talk about Brady in a second. But, between Bobrovsky, Brad Marchand, I mean, like, they walk down Yonge Street and they're going to get mobbed. They walk down South Beach and they're just another Joe Blow on the streets.
Well, you bring up Brady and Matthew, and I got to believe, look, regardless of what these guys may say upon exiting the door and booking a flight to, Miami, these guys may say some nice things about, I like my time, I'll always have Ottawa in my heart, but they pushed their way out back to their home country. To play with one another, sure, but it started with Matthew, it ended with Brady. Where's the Canadian boys pushing their way back to a Canadian team? I mean, where are these guys? I can't even think of one that pushed his way out of an American team to come to a Canadian team. Is there one? Can you name one?
Well, he didn't. Yeah, I mean, he didn't push his way out, but John Tavares.
Tavares, you're right. But I'm talking about
his contract was over.
The difference is Tkachuk and both Tkachuks are squarely in or entering their prime when they force their way out. Tavares was at the end of his prime, perhaps, and now he's past.
So Tavares was a UFA too, so he didn't push his way out.
He was a UFA.
He was a UFA, and he chose to come back to Toronto. But that's a good point, Neil. I can't think of any either.
It's a rare example
over the last little while.
Even Tavares, he's a rare bird when it comes to that. And so you know what? If I was, and just to because we're on the, if I was, anyone in McKenna's ear, I'd be just kind of like really, really giving him kind of perspective on what it would mean to be a all-time great, winning a cup in Canada, Toronto. How much history, how much drought, the old Canadian drought, the whole Leafs drought. It's unbelievable the opportunity that this kid has in front of him to be like, and he could do it. I mean, I'm not saying he will, but what if he does it before McDavid does? I mean, that takes on another special level there, because McDavid had his couple of chances, couldn't get it done. So, I mean, there's just so much there. And like, if this kid was worth kind of and I hear he's a competitive kid. I hear he's got a little bit of a mean streak to him. Some of those bar stories I've heard of.
Yeah,
that's just like, I mean, if he's got the IQ, the ice IQ to go along with some of that brash streak he might have underneath, these guys should be in his ear about that all day long, because the great ones, they want to be great. I'll tell you that.
Mm-hmm.
In any sport.
But when I heard he punched the guy out because he was bothering his mom, I said, you got to draft him first overall. I want that guy in my franchise 100%.
And he seems like a really well-spoken kid too, overall, so we'll see. It doesn't always pan out the way that you want. But this guy's got an incredible opportunity in front of him.
Yeah, white horse's finest. But I just think that, can you honestly say, without a doubt, if you boys had the talent to either shoot a puck or block a shot or turn a double play, that you would have tunnel vision to playing for Toronto, especially in a hockey sense? Like, do you think that if you could live in a tax-free state versus playing in your hometown, can you honestly tell me that you'll have tunnel vision for Toronto? I love my city, I love my country, but that is a hard ask, especially with the microscope that you are under, whether it be Toronto, Edmonton, Winnipeg, Ottawa, Montreal, you name it.
Well, I think personally that, if that's the choice, if it's what you're saying is, what I'm hearing is legacy, a bit more legacy versus a bit more money, perhaps.
I just think that the legacy will be there. Because
I think that number one, the legacy would never be the same if you're like, for example, if you're doing it in Toronto versus Florida. You'll never have a legacy in Florida like you would in Toronto. On top of that,
no, but what I'm saying is, Neel, sorry to interrupt, but I still think that they're going to have that legacy in hockey circles within this country if you win a cup in Florida.
Yeah, but then when you talk about money, if you talk about money, you have to understand also that winning a cup in Toronto is immediately going to massively boost the income of the star that does it because of the sponsorship deals, the Kawhi and Dine for X number of hockey players, which
is what I was saying that before you came on. That was the point I was trying to make, which is why I feel Austin Matthews will stay, because I think he wants that opportunity. If he feels the team is in the right direction. What you're asking, here's the thing, Randy, they're all going to be rich. They're all going to be rich. They're going to walk away, if they're smart, with generational money anyway. Being the captain of a Stanley Cup championship team in Anaheim, or being the captain of a Stanley Cup championship in Toronto, two different worlds. And that's, I think, what you mean by legacy, Neel. That it's a completely different world, right?
Yep.
Just it's not even a comparison. It's not even close. And they're all going to be fucking rich. So all things being equal, I think some of these guys like their legacy too. I think that's why Connor McDavid is hanging on to see, what's down the road. Couple of years, let me take a bit of a hit. Let's take the desperation mode and bring in Mike Babcock, because I think he really wants to be a Stanley Cup champion at Edmonton over anything.
Yep. To add to that, look at, and again, I'm just talking what I know best, but you look at Dirk Nowitzki's 2011 championship with the Mavs. Number one, he had one of the hardest runs ever. He just summoned something, the deep inside, the most high degree of competitive drive that he kind of knew this was it. This was his shot. And he summoned something that he went Super Saiyan basically in that run. And I like to say, there is a quality to a championship that not all championships are equal. That championship is worth 3 cheaply acquired Kevin Durant championships. Jalen Brunson's championship in New York is worth 3 cheaply acquired, a couple of that Jalen Brunson championship is worth 2 LeBron championships in Miami. There's weights to it. One championship is very different. Kawhi, even we're going to talk Kawhi, that one championship he has in Toronto is worth a lot more than any championship he might have won elsewhere, in my opinion. So there is weights to it, and I think whoever wins in Toronto, whoever's the main guy, whether it's Matthews, McKenna, or both, they'll share in that. That is going to. They don't need to win any more cups in their entire career to have the greatest legacy you could have in this city.
I hear what you're saying. I do, and you make a lot of valid points for sure. In terms of Austin Matthews specifically, I don't know if an American can have that sort of romance feeling than a Canadian like Tavares or McDavid. And this whole question came about. This whole topic and discussion came about with if Austin Matthews would be more inclined to stay after all the moves that the Maple Leafs have
Randy,
made.
like let's go back to that Dirk Nowitzki example. Like this guy's from Germany. You think anyone in Dallas cares that this guy's from Germany? No. Austin Matthews winning in Toronto would be what Dirk Nowitzki did in Dallas, and he's a god over there. He is a god.
That's kind of apples and oranges, Neel.
Is it?
Like, I mean, well, I mean,
American playing in Canada.
Sidney Crosby is a god in Pittsburgh. Mario Lemieux is a god in Pittsburgh.
So was Yager.
You said it. You said it yourself. Mark Messier was a god in New York that year when they won the cup.
But there's a different appetite. There's a different mindset. There's a different romance when you're a European.
No, because I think in Matthews' case, the bigger factor that he's an American, much bigger factor is that we drafted the guy. And we saw him go from a boy to a man, really, a bald man. Okay. He went from having hair to no hair in Toronto.
Yeah, he's got to
guys remember him as a fresh-faced young boy, and now he looks 10 years older than he actually is. So there's a lot of legacy there and a lot of, ups and downs. When you go through a lot of downs with a player and then you see them at their greatest point, it's a validation for yourself as well. And it makes you feel like the sort of the journey in your own life of ups and downs and kind of metaphorically putting it on yourself. That's the power of sports. And so I think when in his case, he can't go anywhere, Randy, to your point. Matthews cannot go anywhere and win a cup anywhere that his legacy would be greater and the level of love he'd get from the city he won it in would be anywhere greater. There's no way.
That I want to challenge you on because I've always said from the beginning. I've always said from the beginning that if the Coyotes stayed in Arizona and if Austin Matthews won in Phoenix, I think his legacy would be greater. Let's say that he goes to Vegas.
4 people would have him as a legacy guy in Phoenix if he won the Stanley Cup in Phoenix. But maybe his family. That's it.
Is Tage Thompson from Arizona?
I'm pretty sure the Coyotes were below, Arizona State NCAA Division II basketball out there.
100%. No, I get it. And I mean, I think it's a little difficult to think about Arizona as a hockey market because of everything that happened. But in Vegas, Dallas has some sort of hockey appetite. Now, maybe they don't compare to the Mavericks or the Cowboys, let alone the Rangers. But
there's also
if there's a consistency there, if there is the Avalanche. I mean, I think the Avalanche are more revered than the Rockies. Maybe that's not saying much, but I mean, Colorado has had a great history since being in the NHL. I think that the Lightning is more revered than the Tampa Bay Rays. So
possibly.
Yeah. So I mean, I guess my point is that if there is a consistent winner, like the past couple of years in Florida with not only the Panthers but the Lightning, that Austin Matthews, I mean, in Canada is one thing, but maybe you include the United States.
Well,
if
I mean,
he wins, if he is Canadian.
I mean, you could again. I keep going back to basketball, but imagine LeBron won a championship with Cleveland in his first stint with Cleveland, when he was already there for 7-8 years. I mean, that's worth a lot more than both of those Miami titles put together. Thankfully, he went and won one in Cleveland, and it was full circle moment and all that. If Kevin Durant won in OKC while he was there, that's worth a lot more than both of those titles he won in Golden State. He would have been a god there. LeBron eventually became a god in Cleveland. Look at Lowry. If the Raptors lost to the Warriors in 2019, he goes to the Miami a couple of years later. He goes back to the finals in the with Jimmy Butler the second time against Denver in 2023. I mean, if he wins a title, if they beat Denver, I mean, there's no way in hell that Lowry, even as a top few player on that team, is getting any sort of the legacy that he gets from doing what he did in 2019. So in my opinion, I mean, nationality does not matter. It's about how long you've been with the team, the relationship, the ups and downs the fan base has had with you. And that means so much more than jumping ship to find a better situation, because it just makes you look like a sellout, a cop-out, someone who valued the championship more than you did the city. And if people can even make that argument about you, your legacy doesn't even reach the point where when there's an argument that you cared about the city more than you did the chip.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. I mean, one example I could think of off the top of my head is Kevin Garnett. I mean, I think he is more.
That's a good example. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I believe that his legacy would have been so much better had he won in Minnesota.
But I still think, well, I mean, maybe I'll ask you, Neel. I think Kevin Garnett is still more remembered as a Timberwolf, and nobody thinks of him as a sellout.
I don't think anyone thinks of him as a sellout. No, I don't. I think that's a good example because it kind of, yeah, but, he also went to a super team. I think that Kevin Durant, had he won in Minnesota, that one year he only went to the conference finals once. He had Sam Cassell and Latrell Sprewell as his other two main guys.
Sure.
And they lost to the Lakers in the conference finals, who ultimately lost to Detroit. So it would have been Minnesota-Detroit in the finals, and Minnesota could have actually won that series. Who knows, right? And I think Garnett's legacy would have been so much more profound going that way. It still is amazing. It's still great, but I mean,
do you think he's more known as a Timberwolf or a Celtic?
I think part of the legacy that Garnett, in this example, something that is in his favor is he went to an all-time great franchise and he ended a big drought for that all-time great franchise, like a historic franchise.
He was traded though, right?
But the fact that he was able to end a 20-plus year drought for a legendary franchise is sort of like a different type of rare feather in the cap that he could say he did, which adds some weight to legacy, I believe. Like, had he got traded to Charlotte and won a title with them, look, no one's going to ever say that Garnett's better off for not winning one in Minnesota. But yeah, I see your point. There's levels to whatever, all the things we're saying that, but I still think that, Matthews, there's nothing better for his career than just winning one. He could go somewhere, win three, but winning one in Toronto, I think, would be a much more profound legacy overall for him as a player.
Yeah. No, and again, like I said, see your point for sure. Both of yours. Wow, that took a while. But no, that's great discussions as always. I mean, just a couple of quick hockey notes. Hey, Neel, why don't we talk about your Edmonton Oilers there for a second? The Carolina Hurricanes win the Stanley Cup, and Frederik Andersen, I mean, yeah, sure, he stubbed his toe a little bit in the final. Their number one goalie wins the Stanley Cup and is heading to Edmonton. They did say goodbye to Darnell Nurse. He's now a member of the San Jose Sharks. And leading the Edmonton Oilers is Mike Babcock. He had a rather tumultuous time in Columbus. He was basically fired before he started. And a lot of news came out with regards to Babcock's practices with his players, asking for rather personal information, pictures of that's on his players' cell phones. I don't know if you personally know the back and forth between Mike Babcock, the Leafs, the Blue Jackets, with Frederik Andersen as well. What do you think about the Oilers and what they've done over the past couple of days?
I think overall it was a positive offseason, I have to say, because I think after last year, like I said on the last episode or the one before that, like it was definitely a huge regression. Just like you almost felt like this hangover from losing twice in a row in the Cup. And there was just it was kind of like a big hangover. I felt like, just the voice in the locker room, the head coaching voice was just kind of maybe gone, soured on by players, whatever it is. McDavid's weighing in on all of these decisions. They got a big onus to keep him there, and they got to keep him happy. And so I don't think they're making any decisions without running it by him. And he even said after the Babcock hiring, he's kind of like alluded to, this is what we want. We want this disciplinarian type of guy here. We want this hard-ass guy here. He kind of was on board with that, I think. And, you know, the nurse piece of work was fantastic. I mean, I think he was in a, you know, declining asset, and
Neel,
they didn't see nothing on him.
Neel, Stan Bowman should win General Manager of the Year now for next season for pulling that move off without retaining any salary and getting bodies back for it. Phenomenal.
He had a lot left, and just like they got a lot of options now to shore that up. And so overall, and again, when you talk about Anderson, I mean, he did run out of steam there in the Stanley Cup final, but he had a nice season there. But I think part of that was that Carolina was a better defensive team than the Oilers are, and that might cause problems for Anderson next year. So I don't know. I don't believe too much in Anderson. I don't even believe too much in where Bobrovsky is at after his last year for the Leafs. But you know, these guys are great goalies, and who knows really at the end what type of vibe that they're in. But I think overall, Oilers, nice offseason. It really just depends on, you know, how these guys are clicking, because you know what you're going to get from McDavid. Draisaitl, again, I really don't know if he's reached a peak in his career yet, or if he's, you know, something about the guy. I'm not sure if he's not seen his best years already, but we'll see. I think positive overall is my takeaway.
Tony, what about you? You know, with Mike Babcock, when the moment that it was announced that he was hired, I was listening to TSN 1050, and all I kept hearing is that he's a jerk, but if there is no better X's and O's guy, it's Mike Babcock. And I was thinking to myself, if I had people like Datsuk and Zetterberg and Lidstrom, I'd be a pretty good X's and O's guy as well. He was here for all those years in Toronto, didn't do a thing. He led our country in gold, for gold in 2010, 2014, but that team was stacked. How much of an X's and O's guy do you honestly think Mike Babcock is? Like, could they have done the same thing with Chris Knobloch? And Neel did bring up some great points about Anderson. What do you think?
Well, I think there's no chance this hire happens without the blessing of Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl. First things first. It's obviously a gutsy move. It is a very, very high risk decision. He's not universally loved, but a coach isn't supposed to be. Now, some of his antics are questionable. Judging by his press conference, he's not really saying sorry for what he did. I think, in fact, what he's telling us is that maybe some of the guys I was with in Toronto and maybe a couple of the players I was about to start coaching in Columbus are a little weak-ass and can't handle what I'm trying to bring to the table. But, you know, I can certainly respect some of the issues players have went with. I know that Johan Franzen is not very complimentary of him, but he has a Stanley Cup ring playing for him. And so it worked somehow. But I'm skeptical. I'll be honest with you. I'm skeptical because it feels like a desperation move at this point. So we'll see what it's like. But again, being able to get that contract off your books and adding a couple of bodies here and there could help them. But are they going to let him coach? If they're going to let him coach the way he knows how to coach and they're willing to take it, you know, Zach Hyman has some experience with Babcock. So obviously he's going to give a heads up to the boys what it was like. So everybody's on board. Everybody seems to be okay with it.
I think he had. I think Hyman liked Babcock as coach.
Yeah, and I believe he was one of the leadership group that he spoke with. I believe it was Draisaitl, Connor, and Hyman as well. One of the guys that he spoke with prior to. So we'll see. It should be fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think there's a recycling issue with coaches in the National Hockey League right now. So I'm a little I'm a little jaded sitting here saying, oh, it might work out. Mike Babcock's had great success here and there, but I just think that it's been overkill with the revolving door here. So I'm kind of over it in some cases when it comes to some of these coaching hires.
Are you surprised that Vegas didn't retain Tortorella? I am a little bit.
No, I'm not, because that franchise is that's what they do. They're ruthless, and if there's something that they don't like, they're going to hit the reset button. They're going to take a different course, and they're not going to care about it. So, no, I'm not surprised. I don't know what the conversation was like and what made that decision happen, but it was quick and a swift. You can say what you want about the Vegas Golden Knights organization, but I mean, they make decisions. They absolutely make decisions in a hurry, and they're decisive, and they don't look back.
But I guess, well, do you think that Vegas cut the cord on Tortorella, or was it vice versa? Because I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I think Vegas had a great run to the end of the regular season with Torts. They go to the final. Things sort of fall apart. And if I'm Vegas, and I completely agree, I mean, who couldn't agree with what you just said about how ruthless they are? I would give Torts another kick at the can at it. I mean, 1 year, 2 years, see what happens. And they're obviously not shy of firing guys, especially coaches. I think from that sense, I'm the franchise. But
maybe he wanted 2 years. They were giving him just one. Maybe he wanted 3, and they're willing to offer 2. And thanks, but no thanks. Yeah.
What was that?
The players.
Maybe the players spoke up, some of the leadership in the team, but who knows?
Yeah. With Brady Tkachuk, I guess we talked about it, so maybe there's maybe we've exhausted everything.
Well, can I just add? Can I just add?
Please.
Today's, I mean, it wasn't on the program, but because it happened after you sent us. But the Philadelphia Flyer offer sheet to Leo Carlson, that's huge. That obviously doesn't happen a lot, but this is massive, like $18 million annually. And, if it does go through and it becomes an official contract, $20 million automatically goes into his bank account once the contract is registered. So you're giving the Anaheim Ducks something to think about. I think they will match ultimately. But man, when they do match, that's my prediction. You're cutting their nuts off pretty good by doing that.
You think that what happened with Cutter Gauthier has everything to do with this, or do you think?
I believe there's 100% animosity between those two franchises right now, and I think they're playing the game. The Flyers are playing the game. This is not the first time they've done this. Right, the Shea Weber, there was a contract, there was an offer sheet there. Ryan Kessler was offer sheeted by the Philadelphia Flyers. So something about that organization that doesn't play by the rules. I remember when Brian Burke wanted to punch out Kevin Lowe after he offer sheeted Destin Penner that year.
Why doesn't it happen?
This is
why
fun.
Doesn't it happen, Tony?
The code, I guess teams aren't willing to give up 4 first-round picks, I guess, because you're going to lose 4 first-round picks if the Ducks don't match. So maybe some teams are hesitant to pull that trigger. But that's a good question. It should happen more. It's fun. It's a lot of fun. It just makes for more interesting offseason. Chris Johnson was reporting that there'll be another one coming. Could be Jason Robertson of the Dallas Stars. It could be him. Some team might swoop in, but I enjoy it.
It makes zero sense because Penner was on the Ducks when Lowe made that offer sheet, and Brian Burke was all in knots saying they don't do that. I mean, if Dustin Penner actually went to Edmonton, that means that Edmonton would have to give Anaheim 4 first-round picks. Why is Anaheim complaining? I mean, the fact that the team who has the player, in the case of Brian Burke, is the one who's griping about this, that is another example of the code that makes absolutely zero sense. And maybe this is the Vegas effect. They're seeing how ruthless they are. The Panthers signed Radko Gudas. Teams are getting a lot more cutthroat. And I don't even know if this is a cutthroat move by Philly. I mean, I think it's a rather stupid move if they're looking for blood, because now you're going to how much the percentage of the cap is going to be sunk by Leo Carlson's contract potentially. I mean, they're not in the same conference. And yeah, sure, whatever happened with Cutter Gauthier is one thing, but I think Philadelphia is going to really have a problem. Well, let alone Anaheim, I suppose, because now you have Seneca and who's the other one that escapes me right now in Anaheim? Gauthier, of course. That's going to look for big dollars. And I don't know if Anaheim is going to be able to keep. I don't think Anaheim's going to be a contender if they have to have so many $10 million plus players. I know I threw a lot of things out there at you, but I just don't understand why offer sheets are not more prevalent in the NHL. The code, do you want to win a cup or not? I don't get it. But
that's why the Flyers are taking a shot, right? That's why. Yeah. They can absorb, I guess, a $20 million upfront payment, so they're going for it, and you're going to get a top-notch centerman if you land him. Just he's young and he's getting better, and so again, that's malfeasance by the Anaheim Ducks, right? Most of these players that get drafted, they get re-signed the year before their RFAs situations come up. Anaheim didn't do it. They didn't take care of them last off season when they should have, and so now they're paying for it. In my opinion, that is a gross misstep by the Ducks. It's got nothing to do with the Flyers being ruthless or anything like that. The Ducks should have taken care of them last year.
Yeah, no, and that's a huge misstep, because now they're going to have to really do some creative accounting, especially with Gauthier and Seneca coming up as well. Guys, why don't we make our way to the beautiful game? And, Neel, I'd love to ask if you did take some time to specifically dedicate yourself to the Canada-South Africa match. I know we were going to talk basketball, but we will certainly get into that because there is a lot to talk about. But on Saturday, Canada, of course, played their first knockout match in the Men's World Cup. They were successful, beating South Africa 1-0. Were you able to watch it, Neel? And if you did, Absolutely. What did you think?
I was actually at a kid's birthday party so I was with my daughter, and they were cutting the cake, and all the dads were out there. There was a big TV right above the room that they were at this play place, and we were all out there watching, eating our pizza, leaving all the moms in the room with the kids, but whatever, what. At one point I remember my daughter fell, and she was with my wife at the time, and she came running over to me, and I just looked at the other dads and I just said, "Take your time," while I'm sitting there looking up at the screen, It was kind of savage. But no, definitely we saw the goal, and I watched most of it. I was in and out, but that was not by choice. If I had a choice, I would be at home locked in, as I was for all the other Canada games. And so that was a beautiful moment, man. It was beautiful. You feel the atmosphere, just it's one of those national pride really things that you kind of feel in the air and you see all around you and kind of get wrapped up in. And it was nice to see Davies back out there, and clearly made a difference. I thought the pace of the game just kind of shifted in our favor even more so once he got in, and hopefully gets a lot more playing time in the next match, because otherwise I think we're cooked if he doesn't give us something great tomorrow.
Yeah, and his presence for that match on Saturday against South Africa really lifted and elevated the tempo in Canada's favor. Tony, I didn't get a chance to ask you about your experience with the Canada-South Africa match. I mean, the two of us, we waxed poetically about what happened 4 years ago, and this obviously blows the Qatar World Cup experience out of the water. Where were you on Saturday, and your thoughts too?
On Sunday.
Sunday. I'm sorry. I keep saying.
You want to know where I was on Sunday? I'll tell you where I was on Sunday.
Please.
I was at the Total Experience Soccer Park just outside of Rochester, New York, watching the game in a covered picnic area while my stepdaughter's team was receiving their trophy and their medals for winning the championship. I was watching Steph Eustachio put the goal away, screaming at the top of my lungs by myself, and all the parents turning around looking at me, and I got them on board too. They came running towards me right away. Who scored? It was Steph. Steph scored. Eustachio scored. So I took all the focus off of this wonderful accomplishment by these young ladies who won the tournament, and I wouldn't have it any other way. It was freaking awesome.
Now,
basically, me and Tony both are dads of the year.
Yes. Correct. Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
Tony, has your stepdaughter forgiven you for this?
Oh no, they're fine. They were all on board. Everybody was interested in the Canada game.
I can imagine that that your stepdaughter and her team was thrilled as well for that goal. How about the call by Luke Wildman? I mean, everybody, he's awesome. He's awesome. What no better person
doing
that call than Luke Wildman. And Tony, I think you could better answer this question. Certainly better than me and Neel. But Canada, of course, being in the round of 16. And looking back, I don't know if hindsight is playing a factor in this, but should it have been a surprise that Canada made it out of Group B? Because, maybe I had blinders on. It was like 4 years ago, who was Morocco? Belgium's always a choker. Croatia's old. And, Canada walked away with just that one goal. But I still didn't think Canada played bad in 2022. But 4 years after the fact, they had an accomplished Swiss side. They had Qatar, and nobody was expecting much out of them. And Bosnia had to scratch and claw to get into World Cup. Should we have been surprised? Let's put it this way. If Canada did not make it out of the group, how much of a disappointment would that have been?
Well, obviously a huge one. So, I was surprised they didn't win the group after, the way that Swiss game was going. I thought they played very well against Bosnia. They just couldn't finish. They did what they had to do against Qatar, and they kind of blew it against Switzerland, to be honest with you. But getting out of the group was supposed to happen. I mean, at the very least, getting the third place spot. But they've been okay. They haven't been phenomenal by any stretch of the imagination. But I think they're playing. I think they're playing with a purpose now. I think they're very driven, and the game coming up is going to be their toughest by far, which goes without saying. So we'll see how they handle that situation. But no, there's no surprise. Obviously, not making it out of the group stage would have been colossal disappointment, an absolute choke job. It would have been for sure. 4 years ago, that was a very tough group that they had. We didn't know it, but it was a tough group. And so I wasn't surprised they weren't coming out of that. And that was the step they needed to take to get to where they are now. And I think they're a lot more prepared. And there were some older players back then too who were getting, World Cup minutes, and it was kind of like, it was more a happy to be there situation, where there was expectations for sure.
But I don't know how impossible a question this would be. And Neel, I think this would be a good question for you, actually, because Canada's men's history was what it was: 0 points, 1 goal in the entire tournament history. Let's say that they scored 3 goals in the tournament and came away with 1 point. I think a lot of Canadians would have been happy about that. I'd love to hear from Neel first, Tony, and chime in, because, I think that our expectations are, in fact, so low. Well, I mean, now it's obviously rising and it's at such an incredible peak right now. But, I think because the bar was so low, if Canada just got a draw and a couple of goals, especially from different players, David, Buchanan, whoever, Neel, I think Canadians would have been satisfied.
Yeah, I mean, well, it would have been a step up, right? It's still going to be a step in the right direction, but we took a much larger step in the right direction than perhaps even what expectations might have said. I think we were expected to do better. I think, as Tony said, more favorable group, home field to be, so we had all that on our side, but we also had a better team. I think Marsh is, was he the coach in the last World Cup? He wasn't, right?
No.
Because he's a pretty damn good coach, in my opinion. And he's clear he's on board and locked in with these guys. And so, I mean, I think that, for a country like us, where soccer is not our forte whatsoever, we're a hockey country first and foremost. And for example, like what Vince Carter did for Canadian basketball, he's clearly, I don't know if you can trace everything to Vince Carter, but if you're going to pick a stalwart inspirational figure, it's probably him in, bringing up guys like Wiggins, Shea, Brooks, our entire team Canada. We got a pretty loaded roster for basketball now. But 20 years ago, we had Steve Nash and a bunch of plumbers. Okay.
Absolutely.
And so what you're seeing is that early stage in Canadian soccer, because look at Cabo Verde today. They equalized twice against Argentina. What do you think that's going to do for their country? It's going to do something fantastic. Now, they're a small, tiny country. Canada has a lot more opportunity to develop a soccer program, which they have been doing, I think. And, so this, I think, is a great start. Now, I'm not even saying that we'll do better in the next one. The next World Cup, because we lose the home field aspect of things. I don't know what the team's going to look like then, but it's definitely going to do something good for the development of soccer in Canada as a whole. So I think that's a plus and that's a win, and this is the natural progression of things, as Tony was saying.
What is it?
There is no reason, that this program is not top 3 in CONCACAF every qualifying cycle for a while. There's no reason for it. If that stops happening, somebody fucked it up along the way. But this thing is on that kind of course, and there are a lot more players on earth that we don't know about who will be coming up and joining as we go along, getting that experience. But we should be poised to have legit make the World Cup more often than not.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. I mean, I don't want to be tongue in cheek and point out everything going on with the Italian team, but yeah, CONCACAF and especially this run. I mean, Davies is probably good for. I mean, health permitting, Davies, Buchanan. I'm not really sure how old Luray is, but you got to think that they're good for at least one, maybe two more World Cups. The goalkeeping with Crepeau and St. Clair. Canada's got some pieces, and they got some marketable guys too. I mean, I could listen to Alistair Johnston on when he's giving an interview all day. I mean,
He's
that
awesome.
guy
He's
is,
so good.
yeah,
He's great. He's great.
yeah. No, he certainly
Do you guys think that the rise of the MLS has something to do with the development of North American soccer, country wise?
I have thoughts, Tony.
Listen, I think you look at some of these players where they came from: Alphonso Davies, Ismail Kone, Richie Larea. These guys all started in various academies attached to MLS. Saliba was a Montreal product. A lot of guys, Ali Ahmed, coming out of the Vancouver system. So yes, I mean those academies proved to be important, but ultimately these guys, all branched out. They ended up on European teams, and that probably helped that much more. I'm trying to think of who is in Richie. In terms of starter for Canada, who's
Alistair Johnston was in MLS.
No, but I'm saying Richie's the only guy who's a consistent starter in MLS. Everybody else is pretty much branched off. The goalkeepers. The
goalkeepers.
Yeah, the goalkeepers are all MLS guys, and of course Steph is on loan from Benfica. Like, he still belongs to his Portuguese team, but he's on loan to LAFC. But for sure. And for sure, these guys all started here. Tajon Buchanan was at New England. Kyle Aaron was drafted by Orlando. Jonathan David, I don't think so, no, but he's been fucking horrible in this tournament anyway, but that's another story. The hat trick against Qatar notwithstanding, I don't think there's been a player that's disappointed me more than him. He looks nervous out there. It's so weird. So weird. He looks completely lost.
I'll keep an eye out on him because, I mean, the Qatar match aside, who has really been, I mean, Promise, I thought was, you see, I mean, that's the difference because, I mean, you could,
these are injuries. These are injury problems too. Like, Promise didn't come in 100%. Alfonso obviously not in 100%. So that was part of the problem too. But you know what? This is a likable group too. They're an extremely, extremely likable group. So from a national perspective, I think they just resonate with everybody. It's obviously a diverse group. What I love about them is the gratitude they have for being in Canada. A lot of them who've come from other parts of the world, which I find refreshing. It's, and another thing I love is that if you notice their lips during the national anthem, this is just a me thing. They still say, "All thy sons command." Shh. Don't tell anybody.
Are you sure? I'll take a look at that. Man, you are so horny on that. That whole "thy son's command."
Watch it.
I'm with Tony on this one.
I sing it at TFC games wherever I am. I still say it.
Look, it's a national anthem. It was like,
yeah, sure, but I mean that was all generated. That was all generated because of the.
You can't do revisionist history all the time, man.
Come on, I mean,
and it was all our sons in command that got us to where we are. It was honoring our military men. So back in the day, that's what it was.
Okay, cool, but I mean, chicks could do stuff now. I mean, like,
I don't think it's anti-women to just prefer that you don't change. You change everything, and not everything needs to be changed. So that's fine. Okay, I continue to say, "All thy sons command."
Okay. Well, that's your choice.
And so do they. That's why I love them.
Yeah, fair enough. Okay. Now I'm gonna take a look 100% if they go "thy sons command." I'm gonna
watch it tomorrow. Because watch it tomorrow.
They were all about the equal pay for the women's team.
Well, of course they are. What are they going to say?
Well, if they have the ball, no,
they don't believe it.
Oh, come on! If they're saying "all thy sons command," like, and let's say that some reporter who actually has a stake and a voice in this country rather than the three scrubs like us, and notices that they go, "Thy son's command," what do you think they're going to say? Oops, we made a mistake. Especially with how shit's going to get blown up in social media settings and so on.
Yeah, people like you get upset the way you do, and when anti-woke shit happens, or sorry, when woke shit does not happen.
I am always up for a conversation. And you know what? I'd rather be woke than a critic of woke. Give me the conversation. And and you know what, Tony? I think I pride myself on hearing the other side of the argument very, very well.
That's fine, Randy. That's fine. But do not ask me to drive you to your transition surgery. All right?
I got Neel there. Don't worry about it. He'll do me just
Neel,
fine.
I'm taking your car keys away.
But
all thy son's command.
Where the hell were we?
Canada, we love them. They're likable guys. That's
yes,
it.
They are. 100%.
Yeah.
So, Neel, where does Eustachio's goal rank among the grand scheme of things in Canadian sports?
In the history of Canadian sports?
Well, from the let's go from the past 30 years. From because I was thinking about it.
30 years, okay. Yeah.
Well,
I would say I can immediately think of a few things that are clearly superseding that.
Superseding it, yeah.
The goal? And I mean, this was a round of 32 game. I mean, I understand this is further than Canada has gotten, and it's a new benchmark in Canadian soccer achievement. I get that. But this doesn't come close to the Raptors 2019 championship. That was 10 times the moment that this was.
No, sure. But I mean, I'm in terms of like George Springer's home run, Kawhi Leonard's shot.
Okay. I see what you're saying. Moment.
Moment. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, moment.
So well, you got Kawhi's shot is probably number one. Springer's homer is absolutely up there. It's not the same level as Kawhi's shot, but it's up there. You could say, there's a few Jays that had extremely special moments during last year's run. Like, it's not just Springer. Vladdy had a moment. Bo had a moment. Some of the pitchers, Savage. Moment-wise, I guess, Sid's golden goal is number one, maybe.
I was wondering about
that could be number one. Kawhi's shot was not a championship-winning shot, so it could be even number two to Sid's goal. I would accept that because it was a second-round shot. It's still one of the great shots in NBA history. So, yes, this was a great moment. Don't get me wrong. But to have this sort of this recency bias I think plagues a lot of the analysis today, and it's usually by people that don't really know the history like you or I or other strong, passionate fans of sport in general, that they're going to forget about some of the things that have happened, or they weren't as locked in during those moments. And a lot of people, I will say it here, look, the World Cup is a breeding ground for the casual fan. The casual fan tunes in to the World Cup of soccer from all of these countries. Canada is not excluded. America is not excluded. But
like the Super Bowl.
You got to be more of and you could say the same about Olympic hockey. But Sid's golden goal is number one. Kawhi's shot is number two. And then there's probably 3 or 4 Jays moments in last year's run that are, to me, more significant than the goal against South Africa. And that's just me. But again, it was the most significant moment in Canadian soccer history. That doesn't make it more significant than any of those other moments for professional Canadian sports teams. No, by no means does it. Or Olympic hockey, Sid's goal. No, I don't think so. I'd like to hear what Tony has to say about it, though.
Well, before Tony does, Neel, I wanted to ask you, like, with everything going on during this World Cup, I mean, and whether you and your wife has enrolled your daughter into soccer, has that changed? Do you think that you will do so, or do you think that you'll watch soccer a little bit more interesting.
I think soccer was one of the things I was going to go, enroll her in, regardless of this World Cup or any World Cup. That's just a completely separate discussion. I'm not swayed by it from that perspective. That would have probably been done anyways, because there's a great deal of skill that can serve a person in life by learning the fundamentals of a game like soccer or basketball. These are games that you're not at a high risk of injury. They take a lot of finesse, athleticism. They build a person's character playing in a team sport. So those are the things that matter. It's not really Canada doing anything special that's going to change my life at all. I love the moment. I love being part of a communal experience with fellow Canadians, just like every other country in the World Cup is enjoying as well. And we happen to have had a great moment for our country, and we should just cherish it. But let's not have some recency bias and say that this is greater than some of those moments that I just talked about. No way in hell.
Yeah. Tony, I think Tony, are you with us there? I think Tony's having a small issue. So we'll get to Tony in a moment. Neel, why don't we do you have any plans for tomorrow's match? Do you have another birthday party to go to?
No, I'll be locked in tomorrow. And I just hope that Canada was watching Cabo Verde today, because it's not exactly the same. We're better than Cabo Verde in my opinion, but Argentina is also a lot better than Morocco. So let's just see. This seems to be like, I will say this: it's been a fantastic World Cup. So many exciting, down to the wire, unexpected finishes, great goals, super all-time great players having great moments as well. By all accounts, the host nations have been fantastic overall. It's been a well-run, well-played, and well-executed tournament. It's been excellent as far as, and I will tell you this: I've never been more locked into a World Cup than I have this year. And probably a lot of people can say that, to be honest, especially around this hemisphere of the world. And so absolutely, I'll be locked in tomorrow, 100%.
Yeah, a lot of us will be.
Mm-hmm.
So hey, let's get to basketball. I mean, honestly, Neel, before you joined us, Tony and I, we were just talking about how much sports have come and hit us over the past couple of weeks. I thought the first week when World Cup started, it was going to be the most that the city has endured. I mean, you had the RBC Canadian Open going on at the same time as well. And actually, we now have Tony back. Tony, everything cool there?
I'm sorry, guys. Yeah, my phone is getting all loopy. And I can't hook up to my iPad for some reason. So I'll do my best. I'll try and finish it off.
Yeah. No, for sure. Tony, since we got you back on the line here, like, what do you know about the Moroccan team? Here's a better question. I mean, actually, I do have something to show you, gents. It looks like Morocco has quite a different roster from what it had in 2022. Hakimi is their captain, and it seems that beyond the best player on the Moroccan side, arguably, Canada has quite a bit more experience from the 2022 World Cup. I mean, Tony, do you think that makes a difference? Or is that more of an advantage for Morocco? Because, as you pointed out, Morocco did recently win the U20, but it doesn't appear that any players from the U20 team is on this squad. But I mean, Morocco is making so much. Say it again.
Oh, they are. They. If you watch the Dutch game, he went with a lot of youth, and as the game was going on in terms of the substitutions, which is why there's such a huge turnover with this Moroccan team, is that they've chosen to bring a lot of the young guys. There was guys 20 years old, 19 years old coming on. I don't want to be negative, because I think Canada could pull this off, but after watching Morocco against the Netherlands, I mean, it reinforces how good that team is and how they play a fearless style. They're not. I can't remember the last time I've seen a Dutch team sit back and watch their opponents pass the ball around on them for minutes on end, like 10, 15, 20 minutes, just get dominated the way they did. So I kudos to the Moroccan side because they attack. They're going to be a very difficult team for Canada to play against. You saw it 4 years ago too. I mean, it's probably going to be constant barrage of attack, of possession, attacking the zone, trying to unlock the middle of the pitch. They're going to have to be an extremely disciplined team tomorrow. So yeah, that's what I think of Morocco. They're tough. They're going to be a tough out for every team down the stretch.
But I was trying to look it up here. They were behind the 8 ball in previous matches, weren't they? Weren't they down to Scotland at some point? Weren't they? Who was the other team that they were? Weren't they down to Haiti as well? No, they weren't down against Scotland. But I guess the question is that because we don't know what to expect, because anything can happen appears to be in a World Cup. So, like, what do you think Toronto has to focus on, Tony?
Like I said, they have to be a disciplined team, and they've got to be able to find ways to get the ball back because Canada's not the type of team to sit back either. I mean, they press high, they press hard, which means if the right game plan is in place for Morocco, is that they can exploit some areas of the field. So they've got to be extremely cautious of that. So it's that fine balance between being aggressive and also taking your positions on the pitch and taking your space and trying to not exploit or give up too much room, because Morocco can transition, turn the game in a hurry. They can play a little 3-man passing drill and be boom, gone. And we've seen that against other teams in this tournament so far. They were struggling against South Africa in that department too. So, it's that style of game that Jesse Marsh has them playing is fun. It's aggressive. It's highly aggressive, but it could also haunt you if you're playing the right team who knows how to beat certain areas of the field.
Yeah. And there's no point in asking you boys who's going to win, but everything has just been such an experience and something that the country has never witnessed before. And if they could keep this thing going, the rush will continue.
Canada versus Mbappe in the boys.
Yeah, France, Paraguay on July 4th, and the winner of that match will face the winner of Canada.
Let's be real. That's going to be France.
Hey, Argentina, Cabo Verde, man.
Yeah, no, I knew you were going to say that.
Yeah. Anything can happen. But Neel, what did happen was that the New York Knicks won an NBA championship after 54 years. Yep, how much do you think the league will benefit from this? Because there was so much of a different tone with an Oklahoma City and a Milwaukee and a Denver and a Toronto winning the NBA championship, but this is the New York Knicks. I mean, I think a lot of kids are going to be easily jumping on the bandwagon.
Yeah, it's a dream scenario for the league, to be quite honest. It's a dream scenario But the fact that it's the New York Knicks is only one part of it. They did not do it by building a super team.
Mm.
They did not do it by having any divas in their locker room. They did not do it by having any controversial guys in their locker room. They did it with guys that were slept on, who were discounted at some other point in their career. Every single guy on their starting lineup had been traded once or twice in their career. Nobody was a Knick starting their career. They had a guy who took less money, far less money than what he could have taken. So they showed that humility and team does have a place above the greed of the business. And you know what? Like I said to you guys earlier about, if someone wins in Toronto or something, the endorsement deals. Guess what? Jalen Brunson's going to be fine. He's going to make a ton of money from non-NBA contracts because of this title that he just won. So he made an investment in himself, and it's going to pay off. And he'll probably cash in really hard on his next contract. I don't think he's giving a discount twice. But the fact,
but you know what? He's maybe the kind of guy that might, because he might. Maybe he's the kind of guy who wants to just win.
He already strikes me as a guy that cares more about legacy than he does about money. He realizes maybe that, this is a gift that he has been given, the gift to be an absolute wizard and phenomenon with a basketball in his hand. And he chose to live his best life, and his best life didn't necessarily revolve around having more tens of millions than is going to keep him happy and comfortable. He made a decision. He bet on himself that he wanted to maximize the output that this God-given gift that he has would achieve with all this hard work and grit and just perseverance that this guy has. I mean, Jalen Brunson, frankly, is one of the most, if not the most likable star in the entire league. And for me, I still love Shea the best because he's a Canadian boy and he loves playing for Canada. In fact, they had a game tonight against Puerto Rico in Hamilton, and Shea was there with all these other guys you wouldn't recognize from Canada, but he was there playing. But again, Brunson is an absolute, to have this guy as the head of the snake for the New York Knicks, that's the other part of it here, is that it was New York. The league loves that. But the fans, the basketball fans of the world, they have their own team. We got the Raptors, but I found it very hard to dislike this Knicks team. I found it as one of the most likable non-Raptor teams I've ever seen in my life. The last ones that I could think of that I had this feeling about was those 2011 Mavs with Dirk Nowitzki, frankly. And, it was a very, I think I still put Dirk's run above this Knicks run in terms of the difficulty of that run and where Dirk was in his career. But this is right up there, man. And even as a basketball obsessive like myself, I absolutely loved this Knicks run. And it's going to be great for the league. And I think all the movement that you've seen so far, especially in the Eastern Conference, is everyone's looking at the Knicks like, what are we going to do with this team? And so I'm happy for OG Anunoby. I think it's good for the direction of basketball. I think some of the anti-flopping stuff the league is doing, some of this draft lottery anti-tanking stuff that the league is doing. After a few years where I thought the league was kind of going downhill to certain degrees, particularly regular season, I feel like there's a chance that this kind of plateaus everything and we start to see an upswing in the quality of the league again. And this was a great start, the next championship, I think.
And sorry.
No, I was just going to say quickly, in case I do end up cutting out, because I'm having some problems here. I actually got into basketball for the first time in a long, probably since the Raptors 2019 run, for that very same reason that you're saying, Neel. And I guess it's just, hopefully people have realized we got to get over the LeBron era. And we've got to recognize that these kids coming up now, and a guy like Jalen Brunson, if I'm not mistaken, didn't the New York Knicks bring two of his college teammates on with him, like to
Yeah, 3 actually, but they had to trade
3?
one for Karl Anthony Towns, so they got
3.
2 left. Yeah.
So they built this team around this guy in such a unique way, and I thought the OKC San Antonio Spur Game 7 was probably the first time I've watched the basketball game from virtually start to finish in a very long time, and I appreciated the effort from both sides. I thought it was gripping. It was fun to watch. So I'm agreeing with you, Neel. Basketball might be reeling me back in slowly but surely, from what I've seen in these playoffs, and I hope they continue it. I hope the new wave of NBA players don't learn from this previous genre that hopefully is going away sooner rather than later.
No, Tony, I agree with you. I mean, there is no other sport where the competition just explodes as much as it does in basketball. From regular season to the playoffs, they just don't care in the regular season, the NBA, because of this culture, this mindset. I know that we've talked about various scenarios, Neel, but the NBA has to really figure out a way to eliminate that. And if it means getting rid of some of these guys, then, so be it. But anyway, one guy who's not getting, who's coming back is Kawhi Leonard. And he was traded from LA to Toronto for the Brandon Ingram and the Grady Dick experience is over in Toronto. Neel, did you see this coming at all? I didn't think at all for a second.
I did not see this coming at all. But once the rumors started and we started hearing things like Kawhi is on the block, Kawhi would only sign an extension with the Toronto or the Spurs, his former teams. Man, I tell you, it got the juices flowing like you wouldn't believe, man. My mind was going in all different directions. I was refreshing my screen more frequently than I had for a long time, constantly. And, I hear a lot of differing opinions on this, what we gave up in the deal, all the picks and all that type of thing. But I'll be quite honest, what we showed last year was that we have a top-notch defensive team. We have a guy who previously we had some questions about, Scotty Barnes. There's no question now in my mind that he can be the second best player on a championship team, especially after what we saw against Cleveland. I still never said he would be a number one, but I said he is an absolutely great number 2 to have on a team. Much like the other Scotty in history, Scottie Pippen. There's a very similar kind of way that these guys carry themselves and kind of play the game, really. Multifaceted defensive stalwarts, just hyper-athletic, large wingspan type guys, but you still need that number one. And for all the guys like Colin Murray-Boyle, such a beautiful surprise CMB was, how he played against a pretty good, backcourt there or front court rather, in Mobley and Allen. He was holding his own.
Yeah,
and the other guys, how Walter showed that he is a real NBA player in the playoffs. We didn't give any of these guys up. We gave up picks. We gave up Ingram. Obviously, we're going to have to give up something. And Ingram had some really good moments for us in the regular season. But whether it was injury, whether it was mindset, whether it was fear or lack of ability to raise into the moment that it was required, Ingram just does not have it. But we know who does have it, and that's Kawhi Leonard. And he's the opposite, because he takes the regular season off, but he rises up for the playoffs, and he at least he did it for us. And look, I can't speak for the Spurs. I can't speak for the Clippers. But I tell you this, Toronto is a much more competent franchise than the Clippers. We have a much better medical staff. We have a better fan base. Okay? We have a better team right now surrounding Kawhi than he has had in any of his years as a Clipper. He's never had a team that molds to his identity. Toronto, the 2019 Raptors, every single player on our team could be a strong defender. There was no weak defenders on our team.
Sure.
And what do you see with our team now? There's no weak defenders on our team. This is what Kawhi never had in LA. This is what he did have a few years when he was young in San Antonio. He did have it, and he won a title. He won a Finals MVP, and he went to 2 finals. It took LeBron James and a super team to beat him the one time, and he got them the next year. And so this is exactly the type of team Kawhi wants. I think a motivated Kawhi is the type of Kawhi we're going to get. He understands that there is a legacy component to this move because he completely fucked up his years in LA. And I don't think he'd probably be the first one to tell you that. Actually, he'd probably be the last person, but I'll be the first.
But I think I don't know how much of an inept franchise. I mean, there's one thing to be inept, but it's another thing to have bad luck. And I wonder if LA just has bad luck because to me, Steve Ballmer does not seem to be a meddler like Jerry Jones. To me, the Dallas Cowboys seems like an effed up organization. I don't know about the Clippers though.
It's apples and oranges. I think the Clippers, they had some things. They had some things going for them, but I think with a guy like Kawhi, the things that we don't think about much are the things that are actually hyper important to a guy like him. They may not be important to other stars, but to Kawhi, there are. You need to have a strong defensive identity. He's only had success and been the best player that he can be when his team surrounding him has had a very strong defensive identity. He clearly prioritizes that greatly in terms of how he feels he fits into a team. He doesn't want to be an all-world defender if everyone around him is a sponge that's just letting things soak through. He wants guys around him that are going to get his back, that he feels are worth getting their back. He is a bit selfish like that. He is a bit of a narcissist like that. But the great players always have a little bit of that F you, it's about me mentality. In this case, for Kawhi, it's defensively. And he gives the Raptors, as we know from 2019, as we saw even last season, he is an elite closer. Do you know that he was, by all these analytic ranks, he is one of the best closers in the league? Last year, he was one of the best closers in the last 5 minutes of a game, clutch-wise, in the league. And that's exactly what we were missing against the Cavs, really. RJ, that one beautiful RJ shot notwithstanding. This is such a great kind of story on so many levels because I can't remember another story where the guy won a championship the way he did here. I think certainly we would have gone back-to-back with Kawhi. And now he comes back past his prime or at the very end of his prime perhaps. I think that he is going to be seriously motivated to make this work. He's going to get paid, yes, but I think he is going to be seriously motivated to make this work. And I think the fact that Lowry's coming back here to retire on a one-day contract, I think Lowry's going to have some strong words for Kawhi, and I think Kawhi is going to reciprocate those words into serious action. I am so looking forward to this season because, Randy, here's the other thing. We talked about the past, 2019. We talked about the present, Kawhi being here now. What people are not talking about enough is that you may have given away draft picks, but you know what you did? You seriously invested in the future of the pillars of your current organization. Do you think it's insurmountable? It's priceless. The effect on Scotty and CMB, particularly, that Kawhi will have on these guys as far as how to be stoic, how to be a killer, how to, be a two-way demon. Kawhi, just watching this guy every day in practice is going to lift these guys up into better players than they would have become if they'd never made this trade. And this is exactly when you want to do it, before these guys even hit their prime. You want them to get to their prime, having had every single resource that they could possibly imagine, one of the best possible resources, would be Kawhi Leonard, already a franchise legend, already a guy they, got no choice but to look up to greatly here. And I think that everyone's going to be locked in on board. I just can't wait for this year, man. I tell you.
I think, yeah, no, I think what I was kind of curious about was how much of a locker room guy Kawhi is, and not so much in terms of bagging the garbage cans and that sort of thing, but like how introverted he is. And I was wondering if he was a bit of a locker room buzzkill. And this is just going off of observation, because I mean, obviously I have nothing to bank it on, and you're more closer to Raptors than someone like me. But then I see Serge Ibaka goes to the Clippers, and Norman Powell goes to the. Was Norman Powell signed by LA, or was he signed or traded? I can't remember. But Powell. Yeah, but I see. I'm just reminded of Kawhi getting his ring and the affection that he did have for Kyle Lowry when Lowry, of course, was still on the Raptors.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, now it's Uncle Kawhi with all these kids. And yeah, there's a lot of excitement. We'll talk about Philly in a second. Actually, why don't we get into Philly now so we could wrap, tie in.
Well, I just want to say on that point, okay, two guys. Okay, there's a famous clip, and it's during the 2019 run. And I think it might have been it's either the finals or the Milwaukee series. And pregame, Norman Powell is kind of like, he's one of the younger guys, was playing great that series in the Milwaukee. And he kind of is like, doing a little jovial dance in the tunnel before going out. He tries to give Kawhi a fist bump, and Kawhi just points at the court. And he says, basically without saying a word, he just says, "Hey, young fella, lock in." And Norm has talked about the effect that Kawhi has had. Fred VanVleet recently on his podcast talked about how just Kawhi's presence made everyone lock in harder, because he was almost like a mystical figure, and he was only 27 at that time. There were older guys on the team then, including Lowry, including Serge, including Marc Gasol. And so now I think, it takes on a whole other level of proportion, because you look at that, every guy on our team knows about that 2019 banner. They've seen it many times over, and they know the number one name on that list is this guy that you got in your locker room now. So look, I think we got high character guys on our team. I think we got workhorses, guys that care about the game, guys that care about getting better. I'm not saying that they're the most skilled in all facets of the game. We got guys. Everyone has limitations on our team, including Scotty, RJ, CMB. They all have limitations. They're not superstars. Scotty is becoming one, but I think everyone has the work ethic and the mindset that they are dogs. And when they see a serious alpha dog step into that locker room, it's going to make everyone hungrier. I promise you that.
Well, I think Toronto just gotten a lot more relevant in the Eastern Conference and NBA circles, and without a doubt. And, another team that has risen to potential prominence could be the Philadelphia 76ers. They traded Paul George, and I'm trying to get the specifics of the trade here, but for Jaylen Brown. And what is Boston thinking? I mean, I'm trying to get the specifics of the trade here because it escapes me.
Yeah, right it's now. 2 first rounders and 2 second rounders, and
thank you. Okay, so I mean, I don't know what your thoughts are on Tatum and Brown, but there seemed to be a bit of a negative history. They obviously won a championship. I don't know how overblown it was. But Jaylen Brown goes to Philly. Paul George has been one of the most inconsistent stars, potential stars. I don't even know if you could call him a star in a very, very long time. Now he's going to go to Boston. Where do you see this coming? Because, You bring in Jaylen Brown with Tyrese Maxey and Joel Embiid, and you have something quite special potentially in Philly.
Oh, absolutely. So I think from the Boston side first, look, Jaylen Brown, no one in their right mind would say that he's not a great player. He's a great player. But I don't know if he's as great as, being top 10 MVP voting last year. That was an outlier. And I think it kind of overcalls how good of a player he actually is. Because one of the things I look for in a truly great player, is how good do you make your teammates around you?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't believe that Jaylen Brown makes his teammates around him better than guys like LeBron, like Steph. This has been my knock on Kevin Durant. Not only do I think he's a diva and has a childish mindset a lot of times, but I don't think KD makes his teammates around him better, like guys like Steph, LeBron, even Kawhi. I would put as greater. My opinion is Kawhi is a greater player than Kevin Durant all time, but I know I'm in the minority there. Okay, but
do you think Jason Tatum makes his teammates better?
Yes, I do. I think because
you do.
Jason Tatum
Okay.
stretch because this is what Jaylen Brown does not do. He does not stretch the floor, and he's not a high volume or very good passer. Okay, whereas Jason Tatum is a better passer, better rebounder, better 3-point shooter. So if you're a better 3-point shooter, you're automatically creating space for your other teammates to operate. You're in essence making them better by that simple way. Jaylen Brown does not offer that. Jaylen Brown is a better defender than Tatum, I will say that, and that's why he won Finals MVP in 2024 is because he defended Luka. It's not because his offensive game was better than Tatum's. Tatum played better offensively, but Jaylen had the primary assignment on Luka, and so voters looked at that, and I guess it broke the tie for most of them that Brown should get it. But look, without Tatum, basically, I mean, the last 15 games maybe he played in the regular season, but they won 56 games with Jaylen as their main guy last year. Now, going into next year, you replace Brown with Tatum. So Tatum is going to be healthy, presumably, for the whole year. He's going to be the number one alpha like Brown was last year. Then you have Mitchell Robinson in there, which is basically a replacement for Luke Garza. Who the hell is Luke Garza? I know that Mitchell Robinson's better than Luke Garza. That's what I know about Luke Garza. And then off the bench, you had Anthony Simons, a great shooter. Doesn't do much else but shoot 3-point shots, really. And he actually just got signed by Philly. But look, I get it about Paul George. Paul George played pretty good in the playoffs last year, but it's with a lot of load management that he did through the year. He's basically your Anthony Simons replacement. Now, I know he gets paid $55 million a year, but you're basically cutting out Brown, and the three guys that you're replacing are better than the three guys that you had last year and they won 56 games. So I'm not saying it's defensible what Boston did. I think they were in a corner. They had to do something. But I think they were looking at it and going, we think Jaylen Brown is overrated. I think they thought Jaylen Brown is overrated, and they just chose to cut ties and not take much back. And I think that they're still going to be a pretty good team and probably win 50-plus games next year. But
Jaylen Brown was what Jaylen Brown signed the richest contract at one point in NBA history,
and it was then taken over by Jason Tatum. So you can't have the two richest contracts ever on the same team.
Right.
It just doesn't work these days with these aprons and stuff like that. So I do think, though, that a potential problem exists in Philly if Brown thinks that he's going to average 30 points over there. Look, I don't care if you're Jaylen Brown. That's Tyrese Maxey's team now. And Tyrese Maxey, there's going to be – hopefully Nick Nurse, being the coach he is, can make it work. But, I mean, there's a lot of mouths to feed over there, and I don't see a whole lot of depth over there. And I think what you see from teams like Indiana making the finals a couple of years ago, from OKC winning the finals a couple of years ago, from San Antonio going there, from New York winning – all these four teams had excellent depth. I do not see that with Philly. I see the Raptors still being a better team than Philly, even with Jaylen Brown being in Philly. I see the Raptors being better only because, at the very least, we have defensive depth. They don't have depth, period. They have top-heavy stars. I get that. But give me Kawhi and Scotty Barnes over Maxey and Jaylen Brown any fucking day. Embiid might shift things a little bit if he's absolutely healthy. And VJ, don't forget about VJ Edgecombe, a fantastic young player who's got a super bright future, and is a future superstar in my opinion. But I really don't know how to gauge Philly. I think they're going to be really good, but I don't think they're going to be as good as people think with this deal. And I think Boston is not going to be as bad as people think with this deal. So it's a very interesting move. I get the criticism of it, the criticism of Boston. But, for a team that had to be painted into a corner and probably didn't have much of a market, I mean, that tells it to you right there. There was not much of a market for Jaylen Brown, clearly, if this is the best that they could get. And that kind of tells you what people think about a player that is somewhat inefficient, doesn't make his teammates better, and being paid one of the top 5 richest contracts in the league. I mean, in today's NBA, there are certainly a lot better ways to spend that money, especially from what you've seen from the last 4 teams that have made the finals, in the terms of all of them having great depth. Right?
So do you think LeBron's going to go to New York?
No,
That's the lead
no. I think Rich Paul already said he would have gone to New York by now had they not won the championship. But if you win the championship, he's already seen what happened to Kevin Durant. Now, granted, Golden State lost the finals, then he went over there. But if LeBron goes to the Knicks, and then, again, we haven't had a repeat champion in 8 years. It's been a different one every single year for the last 8 years, which is unprecedented in the history of the league. Now, if LeBron goes there and they don't win next year, I mean, they're going to blame him, right? Who else are you going to blame? You're not going to blame the guys who were there last year. You're going to blame the new guy who kicked Bridges out of his starting spot. So, no, that's ruled out. I personally would – I think the Cavs would be the story I would like to see. But I think –
Despite that.
Yeah, but I think, I think that it has to be a team that has a lot of good defenders that are ready to back LeBron up, and because he's not the defender he used to be, he can't be. He's more of a stabilizer. So I think teams like Denver and Minnesota should be dark horse candidates to get his services, because I think those are teams where he could really do some special things without feeling like he's chasing a ring. Like if he went to one of those teams and won a ring with those teams, it would be an unbelievable achievement. It's not like him going to San Antonio and winning a ring with Wemby next year. It's totally different. Even going and joining Jokic. I think personally Jokic, Murray, Gordon, LeBron, and that team together would be awesome, man. I would love to see him on
Denver. So Denver. Okay.
No, I'm just saying if I got to choose a fit that I would like to see, I really like him on Denver. I kind of like him on Minnesota too. I just don't trust LaMelo Ball and what they're doing there. But obviously, I would also very much enjoy seeing him with Steph, Draymond, and maybe get Anthony Davis in there and just load up the load management and just figure it out. Because
Golden State. Oh man, that would be.
It's cringe. It's cringe. It's cringe, and that's the reason I lean away from it. But I also think like Steph and LeBron playing together 1 year would be box office. Wouldn't win a championship, I don't think, but you could win a championship playing for Denver. You might potentially do it with Cleveland, although I really think James Harden is a negative asset at this point, to be honest.
Yeah. And
hey, I don't know what the relationship between Drake and LeBron is really like, but I think Toronto, if he came to Toronto, man, oh man, would that
I was wondering what that would look like as well.
Oh man, would that be something?
LeBron in Toronto.
Him and Scotty just like you don't even need a point guard at that point. Anyways, I don't think that's happening, so we can cross that off. But
yeah, perhaps. I mean, I was wondering about
this is what I do know. Okay, I know that LeBron has some narcissism in him. He's probably not going to make a decision for 2 months because he knows that free agency's over. He's the last one. Every single goddamn headline, every single day is going to be, where's LeBron going? Every podcast is going to be, where's LeBron going? And guess what? Him and Rich Paul, they gonna milk that for all it's worth.
Yeah,
I promise
you know
you.
what? And I don't mind it. I'm sorry. Like, I mean, there's a couple of things about LeBron, like while he was in LA, especially while he was in Miami, that I didn't like. But uh, there's something that, yeah, like he went to Miami. He got Bosch there. They created a super team. He got Kevin Love and with Kyrie in Cleveland. Uh, but you know what? Why not? Like the narcissism, and I get what you're saying, and I, I, I hear where you're coming from, and I do agree with it. But I like it.
Yeah,
I don't mind it.
we need something for the boring summer months, right? Why not
We
LeBron?
do,
This can be part of his
100%.
farewell tour, right? You know,
Yeah,
and he
beyond.
still is a very good player, and he can really add sequentially and synergistically with some of these teams. But there are some bad fits there, and I think he should take all the time he needs to figure out what is going to be the perfect synergy between him having an enjoyable last year and having the best shot at winning. And wherever that is, personally, I don't think he's going to make the decision for the best shot at winning a title, because that may mean going to a cold weather city in buttfuck America, somewhere like Minnesota. Like, why would LeBron want to go to Minnesota, to be honest, the city? But
No, I mean, like he spent all those years, and his legacy was in Cleveland.
yeah. So I just think that, like, we talked about this at the beginning when I joined onto this episode, onto the pod, about legacy, about the trials and tribulations and history that you have with certain franchises. I just think that, like, Cleveland, if it wasn't for James Harden, man, James Harden being there just like rubs me the wrong way, because he's such a negative defender.
Yeah.
He can't play at the end of games. He's kind of garbage, and he kind of ruined the Cavs in that New York series. He was unplayable, borderline, in my opinion. I mean, but he's going to be there next year, so him and James both now are like defensive liabilities, and other teams will really hone in on that and take advantage. And so it's hard to imagine he's going to win anything in Cleveland, but I think it's the best story, and I think their team is ready to have a guy like him join. But other than that, nothing else is as good a story, in my opinion.
So, where do you think the Raptors is going to finish?
Oh man,
Right, because
health permitting, right? I imagine health permitting, right?
Health permitting, of course, and I guess it's like that throughout the league. But are
Health
we
permitting?
automatic?
Health permitting, I think we're going to the finals.
Oh, okay. So, like in terms of the conference,
look, if I'm going to choose a moment to be a homer, it's going to be now. And you know what? I said the same thing in 2019, and we know what happened then. But I got no reason not to say that, to be honest. I know this team. We get slept on by the national media in the United States. I see a lot more holes in other contenders, and just the fact that I think the Knicks still are number one. But again, you lost Mitchell Robinson, and no team has gone back to back. Like, these long playoff runs, they do take out of the team.
I mean, I think that's semantics.
There could be egos that start to come out, after this run. You never know. And I just think that the Raptors showed a level of hunger I didn't know they had, and every single of our young guys stepped up in the playoffs. They were all playoff performers. Scotty, CMB, Walter, Shed, RJ. Don't forget about RJ. We didn't lose nobody that matters on this team, and we just added Kawhi. You give me a healthy Kawhi with another year of experience for these guys, another year of experience for Darko, who also showed that he's a guy, and he deserves this extension. I got no reason to say that Toronto is not making the final. I'm not going to say they're going to win a championship. I got no problem saying that the Raptors will be in the NBA Finals next year. You can quote me on that.
I certainly will. I will clip it.
And I hope you clip this.
What's that?
I want to see a clip of this bad boy in the next.
Most definitely. That's going to happen. I remember we were having a chat a couple of weeks ago if LaMelo Ball was going to stick around with Charlotte, and he gets dealt to Minnesota. And yeah, no, that was certainly clip worthy. Let's see how you do with Straight Facts Bro Relax. Well, one round of Straight Facts Bro Relax. Unfortunately, Tony Antoniou has dropped out. He has some technical issues. And, Neel, speaking of clips, we had a great clip of you and I going back and forth about Giannis Antetokounmpo and if he was going to remain and stay as a Milwaukee Buck. That is not the case. He is off to South Beach and the Miami Heat. And of course, his legacy will be Milwaukee. And is it just going to be one final team for Giannis and he'll ride off into the sunset? His contract is up after the next season, not this coming season, but the next season. And is there a possibility that he may look elsewhere? Giannis Antetokounmpo will not re-sign with the Miami Heat when his contract expires, which does include a player option in that final season, the 27-28 season. Straight facts, bro. Relax.
I'm going to lean bro lax on this one because I do think that he's actually going to sign an extension before he even plays a game with them. Like he's signing an extension this summer. And I think that, he said that he would sign an extension with the Heat and with the Celtics. And I heard that the Celtics, the deal was almost about to happen, but the Celtics were only willing to offer him a 2-year extension, not a 3-year extension. It must be that Miami's willing. And I think, you look at Pat Riley, I think Pat Riley's on the very last legs of, him as an executive. He's a really old guy. He's in his mid-80s. He's swinging for the fences, and Mickey Arison, the owner there, is just like, yeah, let's do it, Pat. You deserve it. Do whatever the hell you want. You got carte blanche in my book, as he deserves, because he's done so much for that franchise and the NBA in general. And he's swinging for Giannis right now, and I admit the fit is awkward. Bam, Giannis. I honestly, I tell you, I would not be totally surprised if Miami just understands that this year may not be the year for them. They're going to need a year to flesh out this roster because really they don't got much there. They certainly don't have any type of team that I'd put in the top 5 or 6 in the East right now. I wouldn't. They got one of the great coaches in the league, top 2 coach in the league. They got a great culture there, Heat culture. We've heard all about Heat culture. But I don't think this is the year for them. I do think that there's going to be some forward thinking, forward looking, even with Giannis, even with the team. And I think Giannis will be on board with that plan because no one in their right mind can tell you that Miami's roster as currently constructed is doing anything. And they haven't made any major moves in free agency because they're kind of handicapped with what they got right now. So they couldn't even sign Norman Powell back, and he only got $20 million a year, like from Chicago. Like I would have loved to see even Toronto get him back, but that's a tough thing to say, right? I think Miami might be one of those teams that makes a bunch of moves at the trade deadline more than this summer. Maybe get some distressed assets for cheap if they can, kind of deal. But no, I think Giannis is at this point where he feels that he gave his heart and his sort of basketball life to a city. Regardless of how it ended, man, I'm telling you, Milwaukee is going to love Giannis forever. Anyone worth their salt, as I've said on the previous podcast, you clipped one from 2 years ago when I predicted Giannis's bleak future in Milwaukee, and that was 2 years ago. Yep. It came to fruition, but I also said at that time that anyone in their right mind that's really a true Bucks fan should revere this guy forever.
They will.
And I still think that that's the case, regardless of the drama that may have happened in the last year or so. He brought them their first championship in 50 years. He cannot put a number on how priceless that is. And so now I think he just wants to live in South Beach, man. He wants the lifestyle. He's done with that Milwaukee winter. He's done with all this kind of, he wants that Miami vibe. And he still wants to win, but I think he'll take his chances with a franchise that he respects, a coach, a president that he respects, and just give it his best shot and re-sign there 100%. So it just may not be their year this year.
Yeah. I just wonder how much better Miami has gotten with Giannis. You lose Hero. So, but I mean, do they have enough? Is it could, or is it
That's the
just
other
six
thing. I mean, this is a
half
team.
dozen in the other?
I mean, this is a league now where, yeah, you need defense, but you need depth and you need 3-point shooting. And with Giannis and Bam as your top two guys, I mean, where is the floor spacing? Where's the 3-point shooting? Giannis has been a little bit injury prone of late, and you know, will will Miami change everything for him? We'll see. I mean, you know, you gotta think that a guy with his level of quality of player, and Bam is also a really good player, they'll figure it out. But you need a lot of shooting around those guys, and the only guy they've re-signed is Wiggins, who had a really good shooting year, but he's not a volume guy like the great shooters in our league. I don't know if I trust him that way.
Yeah, sure.
So we'll see what they got up their sleeve. But I'm not worried about Miami this year. I'm worried about New York. I might be a little worried about Indiana. I'm worried about Cleveland a little bit. I'm not worried about Detroit. And who am I missing here? Because
you're not worried about Detroit. Okay.
I'm worried about Philly
now,
if healthy. But yeah, you know what? I doubled down. Raptors are going to the NBA Finals next year, and I can't wait.
And I can't wait to clip that little segment there. Neel, thank you so much, man. Really appreciate you. Tony, hope Tony enjoys the game as well. And as always, 100%. And hey, happy 250 to our friends south of the border.
Absolutely.
For Tony Antoniou and Neel Katarey, I'm Randy Cooray. This is Voice of the Fans Canada. Hope you're doing well and keeping safe. We will talk to you next time.